Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Trader TV Live. Futures all in positive territory to start the morning, with the NQ up 0.25%. The ES barely green, up 0.15, but still trading below 6,900. The Dow above 48,000 for the moment, basically flat. But leading the way here is the Russell 2000, trading above 2,500 for yet another day, up almost 0.5%. Lots to talk about this morning, guys. Warner Brothers Discovery Netflix deal possibly in jeopardy, as President Trump saying this could be a problem. Also, Tesla getting a downgrade from Morgan Stanley, down 1.5% here to start the morning, with Apple also seeing an exit of talent, specifically the individual responsible for the M series chip, and Broadcom with a tie-up, a possible tie-up here with Microsoft, the dare for some custom silicon. Lots to talk about this morning.
Just coming out, it was reported earlier by the Wall Street Journal that IBM was looking to buy Confluent. IBM just confirmed that they are buying Confluent here for $31 a share. Carvana joins the S&P 500. Other analyst notes the stocks like SanDisk and Micron. So there's a lot to keep an eye on here. CoreWeave also gapping down. So there'll be a lot to talk about news-wise and a lot to trade.
All right, guys, Bitcoin is back above 90,000 for the moment. It dallied with 92,000 over the weekend. Good morning, guys.
Morning, everybody. Yeah,
morning.
I want to see if IBM actually started to make a move down there.
Little bit.
Right there, okay, good. My mic is turned on. Yeah, I just wanted to see. Okay, down to 303 right there, buying Confluent there, $31. So that's CFLT coming through right here. So obviously, because that's going to be halted. It's not a huge premium at all to take out Confluent there. That's good. I like IBM. We own those shares, so we'll see what winds up happening right there. Nasdaq just bouncing around just a little bit right into there. So trying to tell everybody that the Packers were going to beat the Bears yesterday. It was a little shady of a situation there for a while, but we got it done there. I thought it's a good thing they didn't score, because I think they were going to go for 2 and probably win. So that would have been.
Caleb missed he had a wide open, and
the guy underneath, there was somebody else.
No, but he threw
to the wrong guy.
No, he had him wide open earlier. And he threw late to the guy that was the pick. And then when he was late, he should have gone to the underneath guy. Yeah. You completely blew that play.
Yeah, well, when you're Caleb Williams, you're Caleb Williams.
At the end of the day, it comes down to quarterback play, right? Thank you, Josh Allen, for being absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although
the thing is, in the playoffs,
he's Superman.
Yeah,
but,
that's the thing. You gotta watch.
It's all in on one. It's all in on the best player. And but
it's already good that Kansas City is basically eliminated.
A smile on my face, man.
So that's good.
Bye, Patrick Mahomes. But not all is going to be good. The market's up. That's good. Tesla's down 1.5. So catching some strays from Morgan Stanley, unfortunately, here. You've got Carvana. That's going to be. There was a bunch of people that I think earlier in the year were saying Carvana a chance to get into the S&P 500. Well, almost double digits today, because they're going to the S&P 500. They're going to the show, everybody. And then this week, of course, we will get our rate cut. So Christmas in a couple of weeks, rate cut this week. This week we also get, who do we got? Oracle's going to report this week.
They are? Oh, my God.
Yeah, Oracle, Adobe, and somebody else reports this week. So there's still a few more earnings to get to before we round things off.
We were at the slopes there yesterday. It was really nice. My kid, we took him over to Mount St. Louis. This was very, very much in the beginning. It got real packed here, and great hills. I said, my kid's out here somewhere is what I said. And it was great. The skies cleared up there, so we had quite a nice little weekend there. This was a funny thing that I saw, a funny little meme here. See, this fake Walmart vest, $20. TV I walked out with free. I thought that was funny. Like, when I saw that, I had to repost that when somebody else posted that. I thought that was just hilarious, because I could see this happening. No one's going to question it. You just roll out, you got a little dolly here. You take one from the back. You put on a TV on there, throw on the vest. Yeah, I'm just putting this in my trunk or in the customer's trunk there. And then that's that. So anyways, I asked a bunch of people here, what are we going to trade today? It was looking like Marvell. I said, what are we going to do with that? It looks like there's a story there about them losing some business. And then we have here NEE, I think is a good one. iRobot. Yeah, let's get back in. What's up, Shane Adams? Let's get back into those robots right now, as we talked about robotics all last week. We got that news from the government there. MU, I think that might be a good one. Puts on Tesla. Neil mentioned that there as well. SPY, NVDA, Broadcom, Robinhood, says Talib. Yeah, Robinhood's getting a nice move up there as well today. So check out some of the financials and everything. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was Oracle time this week. 134 here for Robinhood, so that should look pretty good there. So we'll figure. Yeah, I know. What's up there? The guy in the chat there says there would probably be some alarms going off if you tried to do that. Yeah, I don't know.
I would think.
I mean, I think that those TVs probably do have those little scanner things on it. You might not be able to walk out with a TV. Maybe walk out with a, I don't know, a blender.
Aim smaller.
Yeah, aim a little smaller there as well. But yeah, good, man. Welcome everybody. It's freezing here today.
Yo, 18 minus 18.
Yeah, it was like, some minus 12. Was that what it was with the wind chill? Was
the wind
minus
chill.
18?
Although I didn't feel any wind chill when I was walking from the subway. So
when you were running from the subway?
Walking from the subway. It wasn't all that bad. I mean,
yeah.
It gets cold.
Get that brisk air.
It's, you know what, it wakes you up in the morning. It's not the end of the world. Winter, it's all about the trade-off. You want to be able to do winter sports. You want to go tobogganing. You want to go skiing, all that kind of stuff. It's going to get cold. That kind of is what it is, man. It also means that, like I said, Christmas is. I'm thankful that I've done like most of my Christmas shopping. I have I have like a couple of things to do, but with a couple weeks to go, feel a little bit like low key.
Yeah, it's much better.
No stress about it. I think at some point we're going to have Michael coming through. But one of the things, I know I was sort of guilty of this. Because we have the extra time in the morning, right? And I think one of the things that we can do is I speak about it, I'm going to pull it up here, is as we're going through, get like that lay of the land. Like where are we sitting at right now? Like you look at the VIX, pretty much chilling, 16, basically nothing, no worries in sight there. The markets are kind of overall flattish. But if you look at me, you look at the ES, it was a gradual, very slow, controlled up week last week, essentially going back into like some mid-month highs from November. So it was kind of like, again, controlled buying, not a lot of turbulence out there. There was some volatility in Bitcoin, which is worth going over, but that was able to get and bounce, I believe, off 88 again this weekend. So you had a retest underneath 90, 91, and that was able to hold that 88 level. Again, still sort of in the same range that we were before. So there's nothing that's too much out of pocket, which allows you to not to be terribly shocked if we end up with some inside kind of days. And if that changes, obviously it can. I think we could see more stock specific, not worried about too much before we get our expected Fed rate decision, which, by the way, sits at 93% over Kalshi. From now on, I just kind of look at Kalshi because the other side takes too long to load, but it's probably at 90% too.
Here, I'll just hit refresh and give you guys what it is right there. 89%. Right now on Fed. So yeah, I don't think anything's going to happen. This one has January, same kind of thing. We have 70% chance that we don't even get a cut in January either. Thank you, Randy, for coming through. How's it going? Thank you very much for that one. And then in March as well, you're at 38% that we have 50 basis points by the time that hits. So March is when we're sort of looking for that 50 basis point move, like to get another quarter point off. So yeah, it should be a fun one. But yeah, it doesn't look like boo. I was really hoping that this would have been a little bit better than 90-10, like maybe even like 75-25. Give us a little bit of excitement when that day comes. But yeah, good point on that one. That is going to be Wednesday afternoon. So financials keep on going higher. There's Robinhood right now. And we'll, let's throw back over the desk. It's 8:08 right now. How was your weekend back up there, Darren Sharif?
I can't complain, Katina, man. You know how it is. Stayed local, stayed busy on the weekend. How about yours? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Very busy, as I kind of explained on Friday afternoon. I had plans like all weekend, but we are here and we're ready to tackle these markets.
All right, let's get to Microsoft. Possible tie-up here with Broadcom, and that has Marvell down markedly here to start the morning, 6 2/3, as Microsoft had been previously dealing with Marvell for custom silicon. So Microsoft, according to the story, is in active discussions with Broadcom to co-design AI chips. They had previously, as I mentioned, collaborated with Marvell, but rising requirements for high-performance AI are prompting a shift towards a broader and more scalable partner. Obviously, Microsoft now joins Google, Amazon, and Meta, all developing custom silicon with Broadcom, Adara. So we have here Broadcom up nicely, almost 3% here in the pre-market, with Marvell taking a bit of a different turn.
Yeah, and this story actually first reported on Friday. Market didn't react too much at the time. I want to mention as well here, though, that Benchmark also downgrading Marvell, so I'll switch over to Marvell here. This one taking a hit here, going from buy to hold. And this downgrade actually has to do with some concerns that Marvell lost business from Amazon, specifically saying that they don't think that Trainium 3 and 4 designs for AWS were done by Marvell. They were likely actually lost here to Alchip. So interesting look there for MRVL getting a downgrade and possibly losing some more business.
All right, boys, we've been talking about ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits, yet another push here, and another client NVIDIA won't be taking.
Well, possibly so, but you know what? When you look at, for Marvell specifically, I mean, forget about Microsoft for a quick little second, because this is not necessarily going to affect Microsoft at all. Ooh, that is Marvell, but it's not my Marvell chart. That's kind of weird. The first thing I didn't even realize it. That doesn't really matter. I have a 3-minute chart up as well. But looking at what, you know, what can we, if we come to my chart, because I want to show a 15 here, possibly. Andre, can we come to my chart, please? That's on, I think it may, yeah, there we go. I think it was on Sharice or something like that. But this was one of those, you just essentially saw over and over again $100, like every single day, since it touched the $100 level, it would test and fail, test and fail, test and fail. So like that was already emblematic of like profit taking at that level going into this, and then you get a kind of a, whatever, you can call it a negative story, or it is a negative story. How big of a deal it ends up being, I think remains to be seen. I think usually you want to give it like, if you want to dip by, like a 3-day rule on this, but I think it resets that. For today, however, it had clear support at 96 last week on Marvell. And when you start to consider like where this had come from, like clean 200 period into $100, like 75 to 100 essentially, and it looks like a pullback to that 50 period is seemingly reasonable. That sets you at about $88. That's what I'm kind of thinking today. Like, you know, why wouldn't you see that 50 period today? Pull back from the 100 level, bounce off that 200 from before, so technically in between, I think you see that 88, and let this settle down to digest how big of a deal it ends up being for Microsoft. So kind of like the 94 as well, but 94, 96, I'm thinking fade on Marvell, at least until 88. You hold on to 88, then you get your 50 period bounce, and that's a good place for stocks to catch their breath in what has been a very clean up trend. Like this has been a clean up trend that has had obvious dip buys along the way.
Yeah, we love some Marvell, and you guys know that we own some of this stock. But you know, we talked about getting out. You know, it came up to this $100 mark a couple of times, and we didn't want to miss it. We called it that SoftBank bump there. We missed it the first time, but not the last time. So coming up to Marvell, good. I think it's a good opportunity to get some more Marvell into your account down here. The problem is most of this, I think, probably has to do with the fact that they were not chosen for the S&P inclusion there. So that probably is a couple points there. And then obviously, I mean, I have to look to see what exactly this means here. That the company likely lost Amazon's Titanium 3 and 4 design chips to Alchip, so likely lost. So if they did, they did. I don't know what kind of a revenue spot that is for them. Probably not worth 7% to the downside. So I think that part of that has to be the losing out to CVNA. So. To Carvana. So if that's the case, then it is going to be a buy the dip situation. My bags are definitely not full with Marvell. We can make 10% back right now just by buying back what we sold earlier. So yeah, we'll keep those for now. But I still like Marvell. I mean, I still really think I told you guys, the guts in the AI trade. I think you got to get a little bit of that involved with Marvell at some point as well. CoreWeave today. Just here's another example. Like you don't know the things you don't know. And $2 billion private offering for CoreWeave. Not that they're doing anything wrong. We saw Marvell raise some money as well. We've seen CoreWeave now going to raise a little bit. We saw SOFI raise on Friday, so that came down and gave us a good little dip buy opportunity for SOFI there on Friday. And not really doing too much today. Nasdaq up 0.32, ES up 0.17. And yeah, the VIX is now near those lows. It's like multiple month lows now on the VIX. So I think the market just continues to cruise a little bit higher here. I mean, the Nasdaq is absolutely on fire. I mean, so is the S&P 500. They all are. The IWM, they're all just starting to tick a little higher here as we go. Look at the Nasdaq over the last couple of weeks, man. Just straight upside. Now trying to get back up here. I don't think you're going to get anywhere near there until eventually NVIDIA gets going again. So we'll have to wait to see if that winds up happening. But yeah, it's too bad about Marvell, but that breaking through that $100 level and then coming back in, I mean, it's pretty pretty standard. This is what we look for when you get to key levels. I mean, that 100 was important over here. That's last December. Then it was important in February when we broke lower. We tried to hold it. There, does not, breaks lower, destruction down to 50 bucks, loses half its value, gains it all back, is up 50% from those lows, you know, and now gets hit just a little bit. So I think this is par for the course. There's going to be good stories and bad stories. So yeah, I'm pretty glad we got out of some up there as well, but never great when you're down 7% here for Marvell. I'm still looking to figure out what to do. We do have Confluent there getting, it looks like it's going to be $31 cash, I guess, going out. So that will be good for Mr. Neil over there. $29.50 right there for Confluent right now. Looks like $31. And then if you want to pick something up on the cheap, I don't know if IBM, this is necessarily on the cheap or not, but IBM going to move down probably a little bit today as they figure out if that was a fair price or what they think about this deal. And again, you know, when you're holding on to cash, you know, traders feel a little bit better, investors feel a little bit better about their position. Now you take out 31 billion of those or whatever it is for this company there, and you know, gets a little more uncertainty. So we'll see what Confluent does here for IBM. I think it's a stock worth buying on any dips. That is for sure. 91.8 for Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, you might see in the middle of that board behind us, what is this company actually called? Is it Semtex? Semtrex. CETX, going to be one of the names on the hot list today. It is in the watch list, but there's apparently no news catalyst for those that are asking. So look, it's done 20 million shares plus, already up that 300%. There was a story last month where they had an acquisition, but yeah, nothing actually happening here except for a little pump. So you always be careful. You always want to be, like, I think you want to, skeptical is maybe the wrong word. But that's what I feel here, like a little bit skeptical when you have like a gap up and you don't know what the story might be. But the volume's fantastic. It's done 13% short float. The float is ridiculously small, so it doesn't really take much to move this thing around. So it should be on the watch. If you're looking at small cappers and gappers, just there is no story that we've been able to find. We can keep our ear to the ground on this, but it's been underneath VWAP and selling off pretty much the entirety of the pre-market here and unable to push through. Maybe it's because there is no proper catalyst. And breaking news, Powell probably agrees it's prudent to cut rates. Oh, well, you know, seeing as there's already a pretty much mortal lock that we're getting that rate cut, the only thing that matters, I think, on Wednesday is language for next year and cuts, because we know we're getting one now.
Yeah, 90% chance of Wednesday, and then he's going to be the next Fed chair anyways. So, yeah, he's saying right now that he's going to be pleased to help out Trump, and he'd love to be his choice. So I feel like that's just momentarily. I don't know when the announcement gets made. I think it's May is when Powell leaves. So I think they'll probably have to.
You can do it before
make that announcement. He'll probably make it. He'll probably make it ASAP. Maybe even after tomorrow. After that rate decision, after Wednesday's rate decision.
As well.
Okay, man, yeah, CoreWeave does have the offering. People asking a little bit about that. IBM has news, obviously buying that Confluent, CFLT, so we can talk about that. Bitcoin down to 91 right now. That's been dancing around a little bit here in the pre-market, but it's holding the bid, so we'll see if that can do something. Not up to 52 here, back up to 52.25, back up to $52 here for IBIT as we're trying to see if Bitcoin can get back up to that. I think 97, 98. Up into here, and then we can see what winds up happening as you get again to that key level of $100,000 on Bitcoin. We'll see if we can get to that in ETHA again. Same kind of thing here, hovering around 3,000 for Ethereum. So we'll see if that can get going. But yeah, RIVN. Someone just said RIVN got downgraded there, but I was really looking at Carvana. I mean, what a good, and we'll talk about this obviously here, getting the inclusion to the S&P 500, and you know, like we were saying this on Friday, like as if someone maybe didn't know about that already. And if you had to try to front run an idea right there, there it goes, man. Nicely done there for Carvana, and it was the #1 name there on call sheet when we checked in on Friday to see where that one was. But there it goes, nice job there. Still should have bought that one at $4, I guess. Now $436, all-time highs there for CVNA. All right, yeah, it's 8:20 right now. Like we said, we should have Michael coming through in just a little bit. Last week he talked to us about Santa Claus Rally, which was really fun to hear about. We'll see if he has any comments on that again. And then the market, yeah, just a couple up moves here in the last couple of days. Seems to be pretty nice. Gold, silver seems to be still moving higher here.
Here's a question for you. What the heck was this thing on Friday?
Yeah, there was. What was going on with TGL?
What is, like, I saw this on the list. I'm just going over some of the small cappers that are moving a little bit, but what in the, obviously this one went Treasure Global. Yeah.
Oh, Treasure Global, yeah.
Treasure Global. There was a story on, actually was there? No, there wasn't a story. It's just a bunch of halts. I'm looking at Friday, it's just a bunch of halts. But they did, they did update their revenue outlook. So updates is 2026 revenue outlook, targeting 1,500% growth. Ooh, but you know what that target is? $3 million.
Yeah, it ripped up after 4 o'clock too. I think it really started to go there once they couldn't halt anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of a little wild. So a little bit of, I guess, revenue upgrade. But this halted a bunch of times on Friday. Look at all those halts. That would suggest to me, anyone looking at this one in particular, without even, I'm not going to bother counting, but this probably halted, just eyeballing it, like 15 times, maybe 20 on Friday. So you could expect some halt here today for TGL. Yeah, 100% looks nice, but liquidity is at a premium just a little bit on this. So there is a story here. Just be careful with this one for sure. I do know we are usually going to, there's probably not any options on TGL given how small it is. But there's always options plays with Joey options.
Carvana.
That's the big one.
No Carvana this morning. This is Friday's activity, guys. Don't forget that. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Let's get this thing out of here. I don't want to rub the mic too much. And oh boy, my poor guy, Alexandre Pantoja. What a horrific injury for all of my fight fans. And then some other big boxing fights as well, too, over the weekend, guys. All right, let's talk about some of the activity here. We have Marvell. Yes, we are talking about this earlier this morning at that $100 strike price, guys, on Friday's activity. Sitting around 14,800 contracts with 1,720 contracts traded on the session. That is going to be at that December 9th expiration cycle. So that is going to be next Friday, guys. Now, as for Snowflake as well, too, that $230 strike price, showing some activity, but the volume is relatively light. That is not a mistake. 622 total contracts being traded on Friday's session, with open interest sitting around 5,200. All right, and now as for IBIT as well, too, at that $51 strike price, that is going to be expiring December 19th. Once again, open interest sitting around 23,000 and only 805 contracts traded on the intraday session. Now, as for the call of the day, this is going to be looking at Netflix. Yes, that's correct. That's going to be around that $105 strike price, guys. That's not, we were talking about this on Friday, actually, and I just want us to refer back to that, considering it did receive a downgrade this morning as well, too. But I want us to take a look at the daily once again and just how much it decays over time. So if you were to be writing these contracts in September, well, you're going to be collecting $22,500, and those are relatively worth nothing at this point. So keep that in mind. I'm going to be looking at these leaps, and I'm going to be looking into this a lot deeper. But as for the bid and the ask, guys, relatively tight, delta cool as well too, and then the gamma, relatively cool with 35.8% at the money IB, guys.
Ooh, Netflix. Well, obviously this deal is going to be what everyone's talking about, like this Warner Brothers, like whether you just care about it because you want to know how much you're going to have to pay, or maybe you own Warner Brothers, you're like, okay, well, is this actually going to go through? Well, Netflix, they're going to pay $6 billion. I think it's $5.8 billion if this doesn't go through. And there's legitimate antitrust issues here, right? Like, if this deal goes through, they'll creep over the 50% mark in terms of like streaming users. So like it'll be like 56%, I think, is the number. And so this one could have some trouble closing, or at least have a long timeline for closing. Now, clearly, like on Friday, it was, oh, euphoria, no, what is going on here? Right back and forth. So I think there's a lot of figuring out what is happening for the stock. So I think for at least a couple of days, like let this one settle down. Like I was actually looking at WBD today in particular. I think the easiest way to play this is, I just feel as if there's any big spikes, if I see it spike larger than any up move in Netflix, I'm going to look for opportunities for potential fake because it's a cash and stock portion of it, and given the risk the deal wouldn't go through, I think there could be some opportunity if you get any kind of egregious up moves here on Warner Brothers. It's a story that's definitely not done. You're probably going to hear a bunch about it. I remember how long we had to wait around for Activision to finally clear, and I think you could, maybe not as long, but it could certainly take a bit of a while. They're expecting to try to get this through promptly, but there are some concerns with one for antitrust. I don't think it's all that simple. That said, it's going to create an absolute beast for Netflix. No question about it. It's pricey, but they're going to be able to corner the market in a way that they wouldn't before. I mean, maybe they can fix the DC universe, although I feel like they probably can't.
Oh, no, yeah. I think that Netflix, I went to see Five Nights at Freddy's on Friday. That was really fun there in the theater. That was a great time. I still love going to the theater, man. We had a great time there. An absolutely packed auditorium, and it was a lot of fun. So if you guys saw Five Nights at Freddy's, it was not really that good, but my son liked it. So I went to the first one there. I was probably the youngest one there. That was really cool. I was the oldest one there. $98. I mean, we already got that bottom there. So I think like that's where, we want to look to see if you want to buy. I think you try to get a little bit there at $99.50, then a little bit more at $98. And then if it's really the end of the world, then it should break through here. And, then you just get rid of it. I think it's well worth the long into this area. So I think 98 to 90, basically 98 to 99.50. I think this is a good buy zone for it. I mean, we talked about how much content is king. This is going to go down as a great deal for Netflix, no matter what happens to the stock in the short term. I think it's a great long-term win. I mean, more and more content is what you're looking for. Joe just talked about some of the fights and all that over this weekend. And it's just like the more popular all this live content gets, Netflix has a bunch of that, and now some of these old heads, right? Friends and Big Bang Theory and everything, and Sopranos and Game of Thrones and everything that they're going to be taking over now. It's going to breed new life into some of these, either the comedy shows or what are they called? Comedies are, when it's on TV, they are sitcoms. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, you have the sitcoms with the big drama, things like the Game of Thrones and Sopranos and whatnot. I think it's just going to be a good overall win for Netflix. But yeah, you're going to probably have to suffer a little bit. I mean, when it's split, it's not even, so like our charts don't show this proper split here, but if you go over here, it's not like it's the absolute end of the world. Netflix was sort of starting to already trend down, right? Before we even sort of talked about the eventual deal. But I mean, Netflix has been in talks to do this with Warner Brothers for quite a long time. And the minute that we sort of broke even this 116 and then had a hard time getting back above that in mid-November, that was sort of the push back down in. So you're basically down I would say you're down like 15 or 20%, from, that last sort of test of resistance. So if you take away all that news, we still did fail right there. So it doesn't surprise me that you try to hold the 200, you go right back up to the 50 and fail again. That to me is a technical breakdown anyways in the stock. So I do think that this probably, if it was just to trade by itself, I think that you would have, some really great dip buy opportunities here. Well, it's already dipping, but in buy opportunities in a $88 to $92 area. And for right now on the daily and on your, sort of if you're going to trade it today, I would say that $98 still winds up holding. But I like it. Why is, here, look, you know what, A11 Guru. I already looked at RIVN. It's not doing anything, but because I hear Randy's voice, look at it again. 1750 here for RIVN, down another 3%. We had some Tesla news today as well. That's heading to the south side there. But RIVN, wow, just made highs again on Friday. I don't know what it was even doing up there, but you've had nice run for RIVN over the last 2 weeks, that's for sure. November 21st, not even, 2 weeks. Wow, that was 1450 all the way back to 18 again. Look at this, just round tripping right there. Here we go. In the end, Justice Department will study impact for quite a while. Okay, good job, Justice Department. But yeah, RIVN up here around $18 there should come into play. That's not moving Netflix stock or anything like that, as Kevin Hassett, of course. More talk about the Fed, now talk about Netflix deals. So this Fed is out here talking around right now. But it's, okay, good, it's 8:30. We'll see if Michael has anything to talk about Netflix or what his storylines are here for the day. I'm going to go TQQ long, so I'm going to look for the Nasdaq long here today, although we're coming back quite nicely right now. All right, over to the desk.
Here, good look for them, up nicely to start the morning to the tune of around 8%. Look, it's an interesting take here from the S&P, looking to join the S&P on December 22nd after nearly experiencing bankruptcy back in 2022. It is now on an 11-day winning streak, and if you're keeping tabs, the stock is up now over 8,000% since the lows in 2022, with the market cap sitting at around 87 billion. Here's what analysts are citing. They're saying, look, vertical integration and scale are key competitive strengths enabling this company to increase their long-term margin expansion. And the index inclusion, of course, comes with a bit of a tailwind as passive fund buying is expected through the month of December. The short interest has also dropped substantially, lowest in years, as fundamentals have improved, which obviously reduces a bit of a squeeze. Maybe not that great for the longs. Data shows short sellers have lost over $1 billion in the past few weeks trying to short this thing. And if you're keeping tabs on their fundamentals, they delivered about 155,000 cars last quarter, with revenue climbing over 55%. Let's also take a look at RIVN. Very interesting upgrade today, downgrade from Morgan Stanley. New analyst there, Andrew Percoco, downgrading RIVN to underweight from equal weight, but keeping that same $12 price target. He says, look, a more cautious stance towards EVs is warranted here as EV OEMs next year face struggling pressures. He's calling this an EV winter through 2026. Morgan Stanley's general outlook on EVs is, look, there's a cooling landscape, and he's citing slower adoption and increased consumer price sensitivity, Adara. So Morgan Stanley not too bullish on the EV industry as a whole.
Yeah, we know Morgan Stanley, too, with that negative note on Tesla. But I want to let you guys know Carvana is not actually the only name that is going to be joining the S&P 500. CRH here also getting the nod, as well as FIX. Comfort Systems, this one a little bit difficult for a day trade, given that it's over $1,000. But either way here, Carvana not the only name to join this index.
All right, Andre, let me know if we are ready for Michael Noss. Okay, great. Michael Noss joining us from the east coast of Canada. You're wearing lovely green. It's blending right in there with the background. We're talking some small caps today, Mr. Noss, and the Russell's already up almost 1% and above 2,500 again.
Brendan requested, and I'm super excited to actually get that to you guys, and it's just talking about the January effect. So on Friday, we talked about what is the Santa Claus rally. We really broke that down by the numbers to make sure that we knew that, right, it was the last 5 trading days of this year, starting December 21st or 24th, and then into the next quarter as well. And today we're talking about the January effect. Now, this isn't the one that, you know, stocks in January, depending on what they do in January, seems to control more or less what happens for the rest of the year. That's something we'll, I think, cover a little bit closer to the New Year's. But this is one as well. And again, I'm not a massive seasonality guy, but I really like the ones that make sense from either, you know, politics or tax or, you know, things like that that we can't avoid. So what is the January effect? And it's essentially just small caps outperformance compared to large caps, where if you look at the relative ratio, small caps generally in December and in January beat large caps by 3 to 7% on the upside or the downside. It doesn't really matter. And if you look at the next chart here, it's just the IWM. And I did a line chart just to show that last week was a weekly all-time closing highs for small caps. So congratulations, finally, right? This chart goes back to 2021. You can see multiple attempts. I wouldn't even say that we've really cleared that right now, but we've tried our darndest to get to all-time highs here over the last 5 years. And yeah, as of last week, all-time weekly closing highs just by a nose. So this next chart, and again, I do, because there's not really a lot of charts here, so I do a lot of this with AI. Essentially, we're looking from mid-December to about March, and this is what happens. And the idea is that not that we're predicting the whole market goes up or the whole market goes down, but just small caps relative to large caps. And large caps, generally speaking, beat the pants off of small caps, but for this brief period of time, there's some good relative outperformance in order to be had. Now, the next chart, we're just going to talk about why, and the best reason that I can potentially think of is just tax loss harvesting right here. If you just look at the average, and especially the biggest large cap stocks out there, they have done absolutely amazing and generally do way better than small caps. Your average small cap company is a small cap company for a reason. They're generally not the best companies out there. They're startups, they're biotechs trying to make a go of it, trying to make a new drug. And then by definition, as soon as they become really good companies, they're no longer small caps. They're mid caps or they're large caps. They're moving up the cap scale. So generally speaking, the average large cap stock doesn't do very well. So if you think about it, at the end of the year, starting around now, and some of this stuff is going to change, I think, as we get less or faster and faster settlement from T3 down to T1, down to T0, you get this idea that, okay, I want to sell these companies that have been doing poorly in my portfolio. I want to get them out. Even if I like the company, that's what we'll talk about in a second, I want to get them out of my portfolio because then I can claim this tax credit against gains that I've made in other side of the market. Now that starts around now and has to be done by kind of settlement, so they're settled by the end of the year. And then you need to wait a period of time. And generally speaking, you have to wait, I believe it's gonna, I'm not a tax guy, so don't quote me on this, but it's like 15 to 30 days, I think. And then if you really like the company, you can rebuy it back. So you've generated that tax loss, which helps your tax against the government. And then if you really like the company, you can buy it back. So that's why going into the end of the year, you generally get the small cap depression. And then starting around now, around mid-December, and then going all the way until the end of the next year, you have people rebuying these companies that they sold to generate this tax loss. And that's why I think we get this small cap outperformance, is you see some of these beaten up companies start to kind of come back to life as maybe the fund manager liked them from some sort of fundamental point of view, but just sold them from for a tax reason. The last chart here, this is just, it's kind of a mess, but it's just showing small cap versus large cap, with the light blue being small cap, and then the green being the large cap going back to 2010, and just showing the performance for each year. And what's interesting is even in down years, or in down months, sorry, so this is for the period of time in which they were that March time frame, even if we were down for that period of time, small caps are down a little bit less. So yes, and there's a couple of years here, 2013 and 2021, where large caps were down and small caps were up. So some good historical and statistical outperformance, even if we're not both up. It might make sense, if you're worried about a pullback in the market, to buy some of these small caps that might be defensive, at least for the seasonality period of time.
Seasonality, always a nice trend to be able to keep an eye on, Michael. What I was going to ask you is, with the rate cut environment possibly changing, from day to day, is that something that you keep an eye on with respect to seasonality? So, for example, if small caps are supposed to run well into the end of the year, early next year, but there's that variable where we can get interest rate cuts more aggressively than we had predicted, is that something you keep an eye out for?
Yeah, and I think the one time that we didn't really see this too much is in 2022 or 2023, sorry, where we were having those rate hikes. And what I think we've learned about interest rates over the last couple of years is that your big mega cap tech guys, they don't really care. It's the rates got cranked up and these guys are hitting new all-time highs. What high interest rates hurt more than anything is going to be a lot of small caps. It's going to be a lot of small regional banks. We noticed during the hiking cycle, we lost a bunch of regional banks that had kind of mismanaged treasury securities there. And then also things like biotechs. If you're a biotech, you need to raise money until your drug gets approved, and then hopefully you get bought out or make a bunch of money. But for that period of time, you're very, very interest rate sensitive. So if we are going to get this acceleration in interest rates, it might actually exacerbate this difference in which large caps are going to do what large caps do, because they don't really seem to mind one way or another. But you might get regional banks, biotech, some of these mom and pop companies that have a lot of debt. If those debt payments are lower, that should theoretically benefit the bottom line.
Absolutely, yeah. Margin expanding for them as they don't have to go into the debt market to raise. All right, Michael Nas, thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you on Friday.
See you Friday.
Take care.
Always thank you, Michael, for popping on. I think one of the important things to consider, obviously, when you're looking at small cappers, is to remember, hey, which category does it fall into? Because just because something is a small cap name, as listen, I've Lucid up right here, and I think because we're talking a little bit about our good friend RIVN today, distinguishing between a stock like a Lucid, which you could make the strong argument that, I think it's a fair argument, that people are down on, right? Like this would be a name that if you like the EV space and maybe some people are gambling that, you know, X company is going to be able to make it over Y, well, this would be a name that people have taken a hit on this year, almost invariably. Like it's certainly some people that might have magically picked the bottom in the last couple of weeks on Lucid, but generally speaking, this is a place where you could see some tax harvesting. But the thing about RIVN in making it a little bit different is this doesn't necessarily fall into that bucket. There's certainly people that, like, it's not impossible that you could be down on this. I mean, and if you are, it would be a really, really small amount because it's effectively at some of those highs. So when you look at some of these small cappers and you start thinking about the seasonality and trends, just understand that each of these, if you're going based on that narrative, you've got to look at them through a different, through some of them with a different lens. Like I would not apply that same logic to RIVN because it's almost impossible. That, obviously you could be holding this for a few years, right? But a lot of the shorter term trades, anyone that had been swinging this, or maybe you got into it early in the year, in the middle of the year, a lot of that trade would be sitting at or in the money, at the very worst, at the money. So there's going to be names which it's more probable that you could see some tax loss harvesting than others, and I think you want to keep that in mind. All that being said, it doesn't mean I think RIVN's going up today. Obviously, they got a bit of a downgrade. They're down 3%, but just in a general sense, it's something that you want to pay attention to if you're looking for that narrative.
Yes, and I just want to thank, of course, Michael for coming through. I mean, all the ideas that he gives us, do your own research. There, people say that he is a little off on the tax loss harvesting discussion, but I don't know. So just go get it all figured out. What your own accounting and what you guys do for yourself is what's the most important. All right, you can call it up, but I actually was going to talk about this stock here, anyways. Yeah. So what's up, G Talk? So I bought more SOFI on Friday. I really like the stock there. They did a offering there on Friday, and it came back in 7% on that offering. You're seeing it happen here as well on CoreWeave today. It just gave me an opportunity to buy more SOFI. So I think that just the banks and this whole industry really has huge tailwinds heading into the Fed rate cut, which is going to happen in 2 days. But again, what we all know about is already priced in. So that's the thing about the market. So we can't really talk now about, I want to buy this stock because the Fed rate cut. Most of those prices are already priced in. It's already 90% chance that does happen. So maybe there's a little bit more room to go here upside on that Wednesday when it's finally announced. But I just, they raised some capital to buy to, improve their cash position on there and hopefully use it for some expansion. So I really I'm liking SOFI. We did buy some there around, I think it was 27.30 or so, right where we are right now on SOFI, a little lower than this. But I think if you're in this game right now, you probably want to buy a little bit more of SOFI. I'm almost all invested. Right now, I was like 3 or 4% cash left. Like I'm pretty much all in here. So if there is any dip by opportunity, I'll have to put some new money into work. But I think 25 is just so good for a low there for SOFI, and I really like the stock and think it continues to go higher. So down 0.5% here today. I think it rebounds quite nicely. And I was actually debating putting this on the sticky note today down near that pressure point of 27 in case we do fall back in just a little bit there into some of those lows from Friday. I mean, I think the market's going to be a nice little win today as well. So 27's had some, this goes back to November last week, or 2 weeks ago, the 25th, where we had some bunching up and then taking off there on SOFI. So that's kind of what's happening now. So I do expect this name to get a little bit higher, even possibly break through that $28 marker. I mean, look, it fell off from $30 on that offering, so all the way back into 27. I think it has room to go back there to the upside with SOFI. A little surprised it's actually down today, but some of the other banks, of course, and SOFI is a little different than all the rest. But actually, JP Morgan's up. This Goldman Sachs chart. Like I said, the only two banks I own, other than SOFI, are those two, Goldman and JP Morgan. And this Goldman Sachs chart is just like breaking highs now. You have like 10 days of the last 12 or so upside there for Goldman. So I really like the banking sector. And if you're going to get some love in those names, obviously you got to also look at Robinhood, which is starting to get a little bit higher here. Robinhood, as crypto starts to stabilize, I do like Robinhood as well. And, you know, we called the 9 handle on that. We got about $2 away from that. And it's been upside like crazy for Robinhood. Robinhood's 30% up in a week and a half or 2 weeks there. So we know there's juice in this name as well. So yeah, the SOFI, okay, well, they're in the chat. I have to look to see the offering closing there today, but it doesn't matter. For me, that doesn't, you know, it's already, you know, the news was Friday, so we'll play a day 2 here on SOFI, dip buying into 27 for me, my friend. And thank you so much for the chat of supers. So that's a way to get involved with us here today, right? I have the stream deck open. I actually got to open it up here. I just want to check out, because right now, if we go over and we try to find out how many subs we actually have right now watching, make sure you do hit that like and that subscribe, and it'll come up there. 22 or so. Yeah, there it is. So, you know, 1 of every 5 of you, make sure you do hit that like and that subscribe, and then get it going, man. Brendo's off today, but back tomorrow. We want to thank Sharif and Adara for obviously filling out and doing that right here early, and then it'll be Sharif and Joe on the midday show. But here, 308 likes. I didn't even hit it yet. There we go. Let's hit that like button. You know, those of you that are not members, we get a lot of gifted memberships. You got to make sure you go over to YouTube and do that, or just join right now. It's $5 a month. You get like the green here. You get all these different cool emojis, and you get Sharif's morning watch list when he is in as well. So, and guess what? Today Sharif is in. So you're going to get that list there today. And it just basically is, it's very similar to our watch list, but much more in depth, right? So if you are looking for a little bit more information, key levels, trader takeaways, things like that, there's a lot of cool things available. And I actually...
It's a one-stop shop. And the thing about it is you never want to trade blind. Ultimately, you want to know what the big news is that's going to be moving the market in individual names. Speaking of which, I have seen a few names in the chat that got thrown up there. Like you can see right behind me, of course, our stock visualizer with some, and mostly small caps actually right now. TTX, WVE, TGL we've gone over, SOFI is on there, which we've gone over. But this IBO that's up 28% in doing volume, I haven't been able to find news yet on IBO, IBIO. So there's a few small cappers specifically running around here without any discernible story this morning that we're able to find. So just keep your ear to the ground. When we get them, we'll obviously let you guys know. And I believe we get to go to Joe for some upgrades and downgrades at this time.
All right, guys, welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the analyst actions this morning. We're going to start this off with General Motors, yes, getting the nod by Morgan Stanley. KC, there you go. We got the tickers on there for everyone. I know we were asking for that for quite some time, but price target being raised to $90. We're up 1.64% in the pre-market sessions. Now, Ulta Beauty also getting the nod by TD Cowen, guys. Going from a hold to a buy, you're up 0.5% there, a little bit more. And then Carvana with the addition as well, too, guys. Bank of America, 6.75%. Price target being raised to $455. Visa also getting the nod as well, too, guys. You're up 0.5%. Price target raised to $389. Now, as for some of the downgrades, guys, at the top of the list, we have Lucid. You're down 5% this morning. Price target being lowered from $12 to $10 by Morgan Stanley. And then we have 3M also getting the downgrade too, guys, slightly negative in the pre-market sessions with a lowering of the target to $178. Now, Marvell as well too, guys, by benchmark. Adara was talking about this earlier this morning, and it is getting the downgrade as well. So Netflix, guy, by Pivotal Research, price target lowered to $100.
Yeah, we talked about RIVN, but Lucid also. And I was sort of giving you that notion that Lucid's been built a little bit differently from RIVN this year. It's been a rough year for them. But guess what? It isn't really all the way through the post-split, well, like the new post-split bottom. I guess this would be the post-split bottom at $15. And because this is why we do upgrades and downgrades. It wasn't on my necessarily radar before, except for as like an adjacent story to RIVN. But yeah, I feel like this is the stock. Why wouldn't it be headed back into 11.5? Reverse splits have this way of falling back to home, right? So it makes an initial bottom. And when it turns around, you don't get any kind of a decent bounce until it tries to test that and breaks a low, found a bottom at 11.50. It's pretty close to it now, although $1.50 away is pretty good from a trading aspect. So this one feels like a short it till not whenever it does any kind of a turn. And Friday, it did a turn. So I think you got room to go. 13 looks like a pretty reasonable level here. But the thing you notice here at all these opens on Lucid in particular is you'll have these spike rejections at 9:30, spike, reject. So you almost have to wait for that first 15-minute candle to reject, and that's the point that you want to take it. Yeah, built very differently from RIVN right now. There's winners and there's losers, and that's the fun thing about the market. Sometimes when it's highly correlated, it's great because everything's going up and it's like super bullish everywhere. But I think right now what we're seeing is in many spaces where you're having very distinctly different winners and losers. And shout out to Steve Irwin. Thank you for the super chat here. Love you guys from Perth, Australia. Holla, best trading channel, and keep up the good work. Appreciate you for sure. All I know about Australia is everything down there is trying to kill you. Yeah, you're born tough if you're from Australia. Like the spiders be like that ridiculously large and all that stuff. So appreciate you so much and thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, very kind words. I was going to say here, Lucid, thank you, Australia. Shout out to Australia. Come over here to Toronto. And, I know it's your winter now, or your summer and our winter, but you may not want to visit here. I don't know why you'd ever want to buy Lucid down 4.5% again here today and just looking like a complete disaster. Anytime a stock reverse splits, man, it's just waiting for that short. You did get a huge, like, went from up to $20, then kept on going, and then it finally turned around. So I would say forget about Lucid. I wait for the stock to get to $1 again and then reverse split again would be my call on Lucid. I'm not calling this stock up. I'm calling this stock way down from here. Look, Ulta Beauty, this is one that's just been such a killer, man. The best investors in this whole place is probably my 10-year-old who told me to buy Ulta Beauty all the way back down into here when this was 360, 460. It was during the start of the summer. Started to break through there, and there it goes, man. Ulta Beauty just continues to kick out, man. It just took out its highs right into there, 580. Now it's even higher there today, up another 0.5%, and just really working. And this is just a daily chart, but you can go over a monthly, a weekly. We're now breaking out on Ulta Beauty. Good report, upgrades abound, and it just continues to go higher here. Ulta Beauty, a sleeping giant might be Elf, which are never normally giants unless you watch the show. Shout out to my guy Will Ferrell over there, as that's probably going to be played about 1,000 times on my TV anyways. Maybe we won't even watch it once, but it'll be on there. There's Elf. So if you're trying to play maybe a little bit of a catch-up game here in the cosmetic space, you do have an opportunity to grab some Elf right there. Of course, Elf is the maker of different cosmetics. Ulta Beauty are the sellers of said cosmetics. So you want the brick or mortar, or do you want the actual product itself? But we'll see if Elf Beauty can get back up to the upside. Another Chinese, though, brand there made, I don't know if it's a Chinese brand, but a lot of their products, they're made in China. So be careful with Elf Beauty, and it's been getting hit to the downside. What does it stand for? Elf stands for eyes, lashes, I don't know, something like that. But anyways, as it goes to the upside, Elf, we'll have to watch out for that one, man. This one could fall off the shelf at any time, but I like it for a pickup game as well. Yeah, Santa Rally is very late. It doesn't start until Christmas.
Yeah, it's right at the end.
We'll wait for that one. It's the last 5 trading days of the year, and then the first 2 or 3 of the new year, and not an exact science by any stretch of the imagination. So if you believe that, puff, puff, pass, and I will now pass it.
Well, the beef about that, though, is like the market is generally up.
Eyes, lashes, face. Okay, that's what.
Yeah, that makes sense. The market's generally up.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean, the market is this.
Like, it would be a bigger story if anything that's like statistically probable down movement is usually a little more distinct. But yeah, the Santa Claus rally has a couple of things going for it. It's also lighter volumes at the end of the year, so less people chewing through. But I find if you get too wrapped up in the seasonality stuff, like a lot of times you end up, you could just end up missing like normal strong signs. Like if something's in a clear downtrend or a clear uptrend, like I'm gonna care more about that than I will about some seasonality stuff out there, right? Especially if you're looking at individual names. So again, lots to cover it. Someone in the chat just mentioned, did we talk about this IBM Confluent deal? We did, but if you are just joining us now, IBM is buying Confluent for $11 billion. It's $31 in cash. It's expected to close mid-next year. I think they said I think the press release literally said mid-next year. So again, it seems like IBM's not really taking it too much on the chin here, only down 0.5%. I would have thought maybe you could get a deeper dip, sometimes the acquiring company takes a bit of a hit, and that would be pretty, well, cool is not the right word, but it already bounced once off the 50-period moving average recently. For it to get there again, and maybe this is the kind of thing, you know, you get sold off a couple of days as the acquirer, go down to 97 here. I didn't see whether they're having to go, you know, issue any debt for this. I'd have to read up a little bit more, but you know, the market's seeming like they're not punishing IBM for this very much right now. The price tag anyway. So pretty decent day, I'd say, for IBM, only down that 0.5%. And then you're going to find CFLT is going to be gapped up. It's actually trading at about $30, which is, it's close to right. That's, I don't know, that's actually trading a little bit, if you were to price it, a little bit low relative to like the risk-free rate, but that could just be, there could be some antitrust concerns. So it's trading a little bit lower than you might expect. But yeah, that's going to do a lot of volume today. IBM, not down as much as I would have suspected. But if IBM gets sold into the 50 period on this, I think it'd be a good place to pick it up.
All right, let's talk a little Robinhood making an acquisition in Asia. Good look for them. They're acquiring Buena Capital Securitas, which is a licensed brokerage, but they're also picking up Petagang Asset Crypto. Guessed it, probably a crypto brokerage, making the first major push for the company in Southeast Asia. Just to give you an idea of what Indonesia has in terms of a market, 19 million capital market investors and 17 million crypto traders. That is one of the highest adoption rates in the world for any country. And buying a local brokerage here, according to analysts, dramatically simplifies the regulatory onboarding for Robinhood once they do have a presence in the country, and that will give them immediate legal compliance and operational presence. It's also good that they're picking up a licensed crypto trader, which provides access, instant access, I should say, to digital asset products approval. It is expected to close in the first half of 2026, pending regulatory approvals, Adara.
And what's nice here, too, about this deal is that Keter Tanuri, who's actually the majority owner at both of these groups that Robinhood's going to acquire, he's actually going to serve as a strategic advisor to Robinhood through these acquisitions. So that's a nice look. Should be a pretty smooth transition again once this happens, expected first half of next year. Patrick Chan, who's the head of Asia at Robinhood, basically said that Indonesia is a fast-growing market for trading, which makes it a good choice for Robinhood in terms of these acquisitions. So we'll have to see how this goes. Let's
also look at Micron, guys. Nicely here to start the pre-market. Shares are trading higher after multiple Wall Street analysts end up lifting the price target and basically saying that there's going to be a tightening RAM and NAND supply as AI demand accelerates. Susquehanna raised their price target on Micron from 200 to 300. That's a 26.5% upside if it reaches. Bank of America also boosting their price target from 180 to 150. Consensus here for the street remains quite bullish. 46 different analysts have Micron as a buy with a median price target of $210. They believe, look, there's going to be severe DRAM and NAND supply constraints, especially as HBM, high bandwidth memory, gets picked up more and used for AI. And Adara, hyperscalers, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, they're all locking in early allocations, and that's reducing spot availability.
And another memory name here actually got the nod as well, SNDK. JP Morgan initiating coverage of the stock with a $235 price target and neutral rating. So good look for the memory space. STX, Seagate is another one to watch here.
All right, Neil, up 2 3/4 is Micron, looking real good.
Looks good. I mean, so many things actually look good today, but you know, Micron does look pretty solid, breaking out local highs. So like this is like that general, hey man, you had a recent pullback last week, and we essentially go right back in and fill in most of that gap, and now we gap above the high. So you had a decent pullback, and now you're seemingly breaking out, and you're at 244 right now. The only thing that I think could be a problem is, well, look what happened at 250 the last time, everybody. Had a little teensy bit of trouble with $250 for an entire week on Micron. And the growth, this is not a new story. Like the memory story has been going gangbusters since September, and we're just trying to retrace back into some highs. So I think you could get more of a grind back into 250 more than anything else. And then when I look at the pre-market as well, like this is flat out not moving in the pre-market. Like it is oddly quiet in the pre-market. So this is exactly the kind of stock I think it might be headed for a retest to 250, but it's not really giving me any feels at all in either direction off of this. So I would let this one lie for a little bit. I'm going to be looking in the chip space at Intel and probably some AMD today. But for MU, let me sit out that first half an hour and see, let it make the first move. At 250 though, I think you want to be ringing some register, that's for sure.
So the one thing that no one's talking about, of course, is that Micron reports on December the 17th. Thank you so much, Randy. And, you could get a nice little ramp up into their report there for Micron. So we'll see if that continues to make a move higher there as Randy looks at the charts as well. So December 17th, only 9 days away now from this company reporting. And it looks like pretty healthy job to break through that 260 as demand continues to be an issue here for the chip space. But so Micron, I would say do not. People trying to make a position now ahead of that earnings call. Like if demand's going to be low, I don't know what they're going to forecast ahead, but looks like probably a big number if they can't keep enough of these things stocked. So we'll have to wait to see about this RAM. I told you that story a couple weeks ago where my son was like, Dad, good thing we bought some RAM because the prices are through the roof. So if he knows about this, so does the street, right, obviously. So there goes Micron right back up to the upside. I would say this 260. If you're trading options, I would think this is going to get blasted at some point. So I would watch out for 260. They're long on Micron heading into earnings 9 days away. So Micron going to be a big one there. So just watch out, man. I don't think Micron's going down anytime soon. That is MU. And then I would short it right after earnings, almost immediately after earnings. Then I think you go to the downside, a la Palantir, a la NVDA, some of these other names that are just off to the races. I think they're going to lose a little bit of steam post earnings. So that's what I'm doing. What's up to everybody? Randy is amazing. We want to thank him for coming through with that. And it's definitely a cold one out here these days right now. This mic? Okay, there we go. Is that better? Oh, I can't go like this because then nobody can hear me. Perfect. Maybe I should do that more often then. Thank you, Ramin. Ramin is on the board here today. We want to thank her for coming through. One more time. It should be a fun day here. 91 for...
Don't slap the fail on that.
That was probably Sharif.
Slap the fail on.
It was Sharif for sure.
Another small case. Sharif, before we go, Workhorse just opened up. So we were just talking about Lucid.
Short.
Recently. Workhorse with I'm going to make the assumption that it was a 1 for 10 because whatever, like it was... Yeah,
short it.
Makes sense to me. It was trading just at like 90-something
cents,
and now it's trading at $11. So reverse split here for Workhorse. I haven't checked to see how much locates cost, but the general plan of action is to find a place. Find a place when you have a reverse split, and this is what the stock looks like. So WKHS, it is open. It's another small capper, which will probably do a little more volume. Relative notionally here today, but it's because of the split. So, you're not up a bunch of money if you own these shares from Friday, just so you know. You actually technically are up 19%, but you're not up 10x everybody. So Workhorse with a reverse split. Yeah,
be careful with those reverse splits. I mean, I can't remember one that's really worked out too well over the long term. We showed you Lucid did get to 20 to 25 and then faded back out again. So those are just compliance issues where they have to reverse split to stay above that $1. All right, man. It's going to be a good day here. I have a feeling it's 91.4 on Bitcoin. That's looking a little bit lower. We'll see if the Nasdaq can continue to hold some of these bids right now. 0.32 upside on the Nasdaq. All right, it's 9:02. We do have the watch list. Make sure you do grab that. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe as we are ready to rock and roll on your Monday, heading into very festive spirits in the market. So we'll see if Santa Claus rally maybe can come early. Why not get those gifts back on the old sleigh there and take it into town, Santa Claus. It's 243 on Micron, and the market looks like it wants to go higher here this AM. All right, over to the desk, and we'll start our watch list. Might as well do that.
All right, guys, 68.78. That's where we closed out Friday on the ES December contract. Look at this melt up with higher lows basically every day since the 30th of November. We've been making higher lows, but we're still below that key area of resistance, 6,900, that we've been unable to reclaim on a decisive basis since, breaking down below it back in early November. So here's the deal, 6,900, that's going to be our first level of resistance. If we start selling off the overnight low 72, but we're going to go ahead and say, look, 68.50, that's going to be our first area of support. All right, guys, make sure to get the watch list. It's sent directly in your inbox every day. Adair prepares it, and we all use it, and we all know there's no good morning routine that's complete without a good watch list that helps you organize your day and lets you know what is running. All right, let's start with the first topic. Netflix, Warner Brothers Discovery tie-up possibly in jeopardy as President Trump making comments over the weekend. He said the Netflix takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery could be, quote, a problem, signaling a potential political and antitrust friction. Trump praised, of course, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos, but emphasized, look, WBD scale, saying the deal has to go through a process, hinting that there could be scrutiny. Just to give you an idea, Netflix agreed to acquire WBD for $72 billion, or around $27.75 a share, but not for the full company, just their streaming and their studio assets. The cable networks, that would be spun off. Paramount came back later, and they offered $30 a share for all of WBD's assets. Now it's being speculated widely that Paramount may attempt a hostile bid directly to shareholders. Adair, you've been covering this for a long time. Give us your take.
Well, actually, Sharif, I have a breaking news update that just came out now. WBD popped up about a minute ago, and I just found out why. Paramount launching an all-cash tender offer to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery for $30 a share. They basically said that the Netflix transaction provides Warner Brothers shareholders with inferior and uncertain value. So, as we expected, PSKY coming right in here. They've already reportedly threatened Warner Brothers with this Netflix transaction, saying, hey, we are much more likely to get through regulators. Seems like that's actually coming to fruition with concerns from Trump, as well as Senator Elizabeth Warren. And I also want to add, if you're looking for updates on this, Charles Gasparino on X, he's a Fox business correspondent. He's a really good follow for info on this.
Great update, guys. The saga continues. What do you make of this?
Told you this wouldn't be over anytime soon. Because of those, again, the antitrust issues. And you got to remember here, like, this is, Allison's a friend of the administration, and not to go tinfoil hat, but if this were to get pressured FTC not to approve it, there is some actual legitimacy to the fact that it might be easier to press through Skydance and Warner Brothers. So this is, you got an actual bidding war here, even though Warner Brothers likes the Netflix offer. This ends up being legitimate because of some of the concern that the deal couldn't close. So this makes it a little bit more bullish today. You don't know, breaking news is what it is, but I wouldn't have known that going before. You just got to be a bit careful here. This is not, I don't want anyone to think that Warner Brothers should be trading at $30 just because $30 was offered. Like, the Netflix offer is still like the winning, for now, winning offer. And we'll just get the terms exactly for anyone that doesn't know. It's $23.25 cash, and then about $450 worth in shares. So it is mostly a cash deal, and that puts a little bit of a floor on the stock. I think that's how you want to treat it. Like, the Netflix offer is almost like a floor now for the stock. It shouldn't trade too much of a premium beneath it with this 30 coming in. So yeah, I think even looking like VWAP might actually be a bit of a play today here on Warner Brothers. It's going to do a ton of volume. And then obviously I know there's other aspects of this that you have to consider here. Netflix is going to go up a little bit simply because they take a little bit of a hit sometimes when you go when there's any stock involved in a deal or when there's a big price tag. And that's what we already saw happen with them. So it's a little bit of a spike for Netflix, but the real volume is going to be in Warner Brothers today.
Yeah, Netflix, nice little spike there. So I don't know if what that means exactly and why that would spike up on that. But again, if Netflix shareholders don't really like the deal too much, and it has gone down, obviously, on that announcement, although once the market opened up on Friday, we really spiked higher there. So I guess some like the deal, some don't. And maybe if they're not going to acquire it, that might be a good thing for Netflix. I don't know. I don't think so. So we'll see what happens now. I still think that $98 becomes even more important now. So we'll wait to see that little move down on Netflix that happened Friday morning there, right into there. The announcement was Thursday afternoon. There's Friday morning's move higher. And then the move came back in, and we sort of bounced around that $100 mark before holding $99.50. This is a new story here, so it's like obviously breaking, and I'm not sure how this will affect Netflix at all. So, back into $98, I would say would be a good little level for them. This is just a 5-minute chart, so you can see back into there. That's where we supported off the early news. So if that comes into play again, I think you just watch out for those levels. Just be patient and wait for it. There's no point in hustling into this trade real early. Like I could see, I don't know if there's anything happening with Disney. Disney, of course, a couple years ago bought Fox, and that was a little bit of a cleaner thing there. They're not really moving around too much. They're not entering the party. It's PSKY. So Paramount, you can get involved in this stock as well if you'd like to. Not much volume going on here, 200,000 shares, but this is the company now that's throwing the wrinkle. I mean, other than the fact that, being friends with the Trump administration, which who isn't these days, I feel like, there's no reason why this would be any less scrutinized than the Netflix deal. So I don't think that it's a really great sign necessarily that this deal is going to close anytime soon, especially now with more pressure on to, the proposed and agreed upon deal. Now, there's going to be a breakup fee of nearly $6 billion that Warner Brothers is going to have to pay. So the deal is going to have to at least beat the offer by Netflix by at least that $6 billion. And maybe $30 of cash does get that done, right? I mean, the enterprise value was around $27, $28, and you were also getting Netflix shares involved with that as well. So this does look like a better, deal if you're looking for cash there for Warner Brothers. But this has been, fool's gold, man. I mean, anybody that didn't believe that they were getting bought out, you really got behind the 8 ball there, because this was such a huge move. This was $7, $8, obviously at those tariff tantrums, and then there's the breakout right into here, obviously on some the news. Probably that day was probably around here, September the 11th. Busts out right there, takes out this 14, and now you're doubled off of that. So you're on a double here since September. Nice move up for Warner Brothers, and it's not going down anytime soon. Someone will buy the assets. So Warner Brothers, congratulations if you're holding this stock. You might have had a bad decision to get out there on Friday, but hopefully you held a little bit to see where this deal goes. And there it is, man, nicely up to $28. It looks like we'll see some action for Warner Brothers. But yeah, PSKY stepping in the building here again and saying we'll give you a cash offer. What do you prefer? Cash or a little bit of stock with Netflix. So important to figure that all out. The market's not going to react too much to this. It's not a big, huge market play, but it's nice, man. The more deals, maybe the more healthy the market is, and rates are going lower. So that's another thing. With the rates on Wednesday going a little bit lower, makes buyouts a little more attractive as the cost of capital gets a little bit lower. So, all right, let's go back. It's 9:10 right now. Tesla, let's go talk about them. We talked a little bit about RIVN. Let's go find the story with Tesla.
Tina, man, they're downgrading Tesla today from overweight to equal weight, citing valuation excesses. New analyst, and more on this in a second, Andrew Percoco raised his price target from 410 to 425, but that still implies about a 6% downside from Friday's close. Percoco noted Tesla deserves a premium leadership multiple given their EV, their manufacturing, as well as energy and real-world AI dominance. But he said, look, expectations for AI, well, they're pretty much fully priced in at the moment. Morgan Stanley is expecting Tesla to underperform consensus estimates over the next year as the stock has run ahead of its fundamentals, according to analysts. And as I mentioned, the downgrade comes as Percoco takes over Tesla coverage from longtime bull Adam Jonas, who moved into AI-focused research role with Morgan. Morgan Stanley has maintained an overweight rating on Tesla since September of 2023, not having changed it. Despite the downgrade, though, a $425 price target is still above the street's average of $375 a dare. Tesla's up 12% year to date. What do you make of this?
As well from 410. Now, the reason for that price target increase, despite, as you mentioned, the kind of uncharacteristic downgrade, is because Morgan Stanley basically, or I guess Andrew Percoco here, recalibrated their sum of the parts model. That's how we got this price target increase. However, again, they do expect some choppy trading here due to some near-term estimates looking to the downside. So it'll be interesting here to see how this new auto coverage from Morgan Stanley, which, as we mentioned earlier, will also impact the likes of Rivian. It should be interesting to kind of see how Morgan Stanley views these companies here on out, because it seems like their model for some of this analysis might change a bit.
Neil, what do you make of it?
Being bearish on, like genuinely bearish between that and sort of I wouldn't buy it up here kind of deal, which reads a little bit more like that to me, especially if you're going to be higher than the street. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like this hasn't been like I'm just talking about like the mid 400s here. Like the mid 400s hasn't really been much of anything except for like a resistance spot. So like I think it would be perfectly healthy and solid even if we were to at least temporarily retest like the 20s and 30s, the 50 periods at 33. For today, however, I mean, if you just look at the 450 level, it was a wash on Thursday when I was here. But when I say a wash, it was like it would just travel back and forth through that price so many times. It was crazy. And on Friday, it was essentially just, oh, we're going to hold over the 450. So I want to look for that as my litmus today. Like if I see it holding, consolidating above 450, look longs. If I see it consolidating and holding under 450, then I'm going to play the short. It's like that over-under kind of deal for myself. And again, I think like I'll read this more of a, you have somebody who's bullish on it that just doesn't want to be buying it at these prices more than anything else. So it's at a temporary resistance spot anyways. So this 450 is going to be where I'm going to be keyed in for sure. And then we already talked about the other EV names that are going to be in play. Like if anybody thinks they're not bullish on Tesla, then what do they think of like a name like Lucid, right? So I think that speaks for itself. But for Tesla today, it needs to get back above that 450 for me to get bullish.
Yeah, for me, I've already called Tesla like back up to all-time highs very, very soon, and I don't think that stops today. So we'll just continue to watch this grow. I mean, I really like the stock. I think there's a huge opportunity today to even try to catch a little bit of bottom coming out right there. 447, like you're right back into a great spot that's been sort of held out for a couple days. So we'll have to wait to see, but I think this is a buy between 444 to 445, like right into this area. Might not want to sit there and try to catch this early, but this is in a good level for Tesla. It's not, we already talked about it, it's not the car story anymore. It's what you think about robotics. And I really think that, and I have Q's, RIVN, and SOFI written on my list today. So I have a short in RIVN on. You can see here on the sticky note, very, very specific today. I've got RIVN. I almost put Palantir on here as well, and I got the Nasdaq as well. First of all, thank you for 55.5, almost 56,000 followers. So thank you so much for that one. But here it is, man, the Qs. I like the Rivian short 1750 or so area on this one. Something to watch out for. Downgraded today, well off some of those tops. And just like Tesla's fallen from its sort of all-time highs, Rivian's nowhere near its all-time highs, of course. But, you do have some levels here of $18 that looks to be pretty strong on the sell side. So a lot of offers up here, a lot of inventory that's getting dropped off. So not like their cars. And you can see right down into here, Rivian, nice downside push. I think it continues a little bit lower. Let's fade any pops that we might be able to find for Rivian. The 200 period average right now is at 1760. So we'll keep this one on our eyes as well. What's up, DLG 0120 in the chat? All right, back over. Let's go find out what's going on with Broadcom. I love the name, and I know it's one that some of us have in our portfolios. In fact, if you own any indexes, you probably own some Broadcom. And just on that news,
Microsoft too.
Yeah, WBD still going. So they really like this. And the other thing too about all of this is, if Warner Brothers is going to come with another deal, you know who else is going to come with more cash? Netflix. So it's just going to be good to see this happen if you are a Warner Brothers Discovery shareholder. Not great for Netflix because they're probably going to up their price now too if there's some talk about them possibly wanting to select the Warner Brothers PSKY, the Paramount Sky deal as well. So we'll see this stock bang upside as well. So everyone's fighting for what was once a forgotten, like Warner Brothers, you could have just picked that up on the way down. They've had a bad run, man. Warner Brothers, like that stock, until we started talking about buying out, they were hit for quite a while until eventually finding that bottom at $7, kind of like that Intel bottom at 18 or 19, and then just popped straight off of that. So you could have been long this name off of that bottom just by fluke, basically. And then all of a sudden now, content, people want that name. So there goes Warner Brothers back up to the upside. So again, congratulations to anybody that had the discipline or the eyes to see Warner Brothers down there at $7 or $8. And you won the lottery because they're now getting bought out for who knows what price here.
You could also see Netflix just to change. They could always change their offer to all cash. That's another option that they're always able to do.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of ways they could respond, but don't make the assumption that they'll respond today either. Like they could, but a lot of times these kind of bidding war things don't necessarily all play themselves out in a single day. But it does make you bullish on Warner Brothers.
I just want to show you guys, like IBM is going to buy these guys for $31, and this is how it looks so much different, Confluent, because the deal is done and going lower right now. And you can see, like, look at the amount of shares, that are here on the bid and the ask. So it's a much more stabilized situation, of course, than something that is far from settled. So it's just that's just the difference between an all-cash deal, obviously there, and one that involves some kind of uncertainty and shares involved as well. So there's CFLT, Confluent, and then IBM as well, about $11 billion or so. And IBM is now up on that deal. So normally you don't see the acquirer going upside. That's why I was like, when it was down there, I was thinking to myself, you guys heard me right at 8 o'clock there, was saying like, hey, maybe this is time just to get into some IBM. Thought it was going to go a little lower as per usual, but no, all the way back up to the upside. Not a whole bunch of like key prints, but just dragging itself right back up to before this deal was even announced. And remember, for everyone watching now, it's 9:18, so welcome to the show. Thank you so much for watching, but we are now live at 8 a.m. So you just got to hit this little bell over here, get reminded every time when we're going live. 681. If you're watching now, over 6,400 of you, and you haven't hit the like button, let's try to get 1,000 before the show starts. You got 11 minutes now. So if 300 of you hit the like right now, then we will have succeeded. So let's get that going, and let's get back over to the desk. Now to talk about Broadcom, and then we have Carvana and then Marvell. So Carvana and Marvell, similar stories there on the S&P 500, and then Marvell also losing a contract. But we'll go find out about Broadcom and Microsoft.
Just made all-time highs, Katina, man, this morning, taking out late November highs into 406 on a tie-up here with Microsoft. So apparently Microsoft is in active discussions with Broadcom to co-design custom AI chips, which is obviously signaling that deeper push into that in-house silicon as AI demand starts to surge. Microsoft have previously collaborated with Marvell, but according to the report, rising requirements for high-performance AI hardware has prompted a shift to Broadcom. The move highlights, of course, Microsoft's intent to reduce their reliance on third-party GPU vendors, most notably, of course, the king of NVIDIA. Microsoft joins, though, guys, many different names, including Google, Amazon, Meta, and OpenAI in custom developing their own internal house or in-house silicon. Google now preparing to sell its TPUs externally after using them for years internally. AWS, they've launched Trainium 3. Meta also co-developing chips with Marvell for a 2027 roadmap. And Adara, these custom chips, they offer better vertical integration as well as lower costs, and they get to tailor them specifically for the application they're going to run.
Yeah, it makes sense that these companies are trying to do it, and it's certainly a good look for Broadcom. It's worth noting, and I mentioned this earlier, this story initially reported around 12 p.m. on Friday. You can see we had this little spike here on Broadcom when this initially came out, but obviously as analysts and traders digest the news, good gap up here for AVGO, and as we'll mention later, Marvell potentially moving on a delayed reaction to this as well. It's worth noting as well here this morning, B of A with a note on Broadcom. They said the company does face some supply constraints as it attempts to make that move towards $100 billion in AI data center sales. But B of A does expect Broadcom to have some upside here in those data center sales due to Google's Gemini 3 inferencing. AVGO reports earnings Thursday.
Guys.
This week, obviously, and this is going to be the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest name, but they're not the only ones that matter. I think it's going to be a big deal for Oracle this week. They have a lot to prove. But as far as Broadcom goes, you're going to have almost certainly you're going to have a retest of the all-time high here, just because unless something crazy happens with the imbalances, it's effectively at the breakout, and an open right here would essentially be at that top. So I'd be very cautious with this. I actually like Marvell because I think if you trade Marvell today, you're getting them post-earnings instead of prior to earnings in a particular sense. So you've got some levels post-earnings that you can work off of that will make sense to me, whereas Broadcom before the report and then kind of getting this positive story, I could see some people maybe ringing the register and thinking, oh, well, it's price perfection. If I can get this at a fresh high going into earnings, they could ring the register here. So I'm going to back away from them and look more to the other side of this story, which would be Marvell. And I pointed out earlier the 88 level is 50 period on the daily. Well, there's a lot of room to get there to the 88, where I think you can get a bit of a bounce for Marvell. Like there's your 50 period. That seems like, I mean, it's been a buy since last week at the 50 period, so I think it's going to be a buy down there. But until you get there, like 94 and 96 are the two levels to play short on Marvell. So yeah, ouch for now, but remember, this has been upward trending, buying off that dip support. So we'll like to short into it. But if you get to 88, that's the support level.
We do have, I want to remind you, I'm going to put this in the chat. We do have a video that we did about 2 months ago about the importance of Micron. Notice 2 months ago, right there in the chat, you push play, you go find out, 300, I'm just going to round that up, of you have watched it. So go find out exactly what the story here is with Micro. I want to thank Ramin for doing this as well, and some dude wearing a hat that looks like me in this video as well. So thanks, Ramin, for that. I just put it in the chat. Go have a look. I'll put it one more time. Let's get that one ringing there as well. Look, and we just talked about Broadcom. Love that stock and just continues to work out. I don't own any shares of it, which is kind of sad face for me on that one. But we do own a lot of NVIDIA, like probably a lot of NVIDIA. And yeah, it's been pretty good holding these levels, but flat on the day with the Nasdaq being up. So I can't sit here and pretend like I'm going to trade this unless, of course, we get back down to that 180 level, which could easily happen today. If we get into 181, 180, I like the stock there for NVIDIA, and then Micron as well. Still going a little bit higher. I didn't mean to call it Micron again, sorry. It was AMD was the one that I wanted to look at off 220. So that 220, I mean, we were looking at that level there on Friday, I believe. We didn't trade it, or maybe we did. It got going there real early, like, no, I think we might have got away from this one, or we didn't look at it at all. It really kicked. I'm not making too many trades again until 9:40. We've Neil, you missed it, man. Now we're 15 of 16. We are another 3 for 3 there on Friday. Shout out to my good friend Obi, who held the fort down for you as well. We are just being real patient with everything, so we're going to do that one more time there on AMD and try to wait for that top to potentially come in. But I think some of these names go a little lower, but they're up today. So yeah, for AMD, actually, you know what? Now that I'm noticing they're up more than the market, it's a little different story there than NVIDIA, so I'm going to change my tune and maybe look for around this 216 to 217 area for dip buys then on AMD, but a little more cautious tail there. We did hold, that's 216 flat basically, so that would be a level. I think you could start your bidding around 217, but yeah, man, 15 for our last 16. We'll see if we can hold that ratio a little bit today. That might be a little hard to do that, but we'll be patient with it and try to see if we can catch some winners here today. Might be something to trade with Carvana on the SPY. So let's go find out why that is moving higher.
That's gonna be big.
8,000%, Katina, man. 8,000% since the lows in 2022. That's what we're up on Carvana as they get set to join the S&P 500 on the 22nd of December. This was, when they were almost near bankruptcy back in 22. Now they find themselves on the back of an 11-day winning streak with a market cap sitting at around $87 billion. Analysts are citing here the vertical integration and scale of the company as key competitive strengths, enabling them to have longer-term margin expansion. The index inclusion as well is expected to spur passive fund buying through December as different funds start shadowing the S&P 500 by taking its constituents into their holdings as well. And the short interest has dropped to its lowest in years as fundamentals have improved, reducing squeeze risk, but signaling improved financial strength. The data shows here short sellers lost more than $1 billion recently as the stock ran higher. And Adara, they delivered about 156,000 cars with revenue climbing about 55% year over year.
Yeah, the revenue growth has been really, really solid over the last few quarters, especially. CVNA, here's the weekly chart. As you can see, and as Sharif alluded to, this has been a great performance. Even though the year started out rough on January 2nd, Hindenburg Research hit this company with a short report. So beautiful recovery there, both in sentiment and in stock price for CVNA, especially from these like 2022, 2023 lows. CRH and FIX also to join the S&P.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Carvana, how you playing this one, if at all?
You just have to remember sometimes that there is a bit of a sell the news event that'll come in for these names, especially on the actual, after they actually physically get into the index. But the imbalances just dropped. WBD was Warner Brothers was just 1.5 million or so to the sell side and came back in there. Now it's about 750,000, so that got cut in half. For Warner Brothers, if you happen to be trading, it's making its first pullback. It's trying to hold VWAP as we speak. Carvana, there's going to be always like the squeeze aspect of this, but you think somebody knew? Somebody always knows. The markets don't get terribly surprised by this. I mean, the stock hasn't had a red day since November the 25th and has been on a crazy upward trend. I think that's what signals to me that, hey, there might be some profit takers on this, because if it ran like this going into the announcement, sometimes you see the other side of the coin. The other thing I wanted to quickly point out is just to show you guys, there was the first dip. Like this candle was the sell imbalance on WBD. If this can hold VWAP, it gets interesting to me for sure, because I'm going to look for some longs on this stock today. I think that Netflix, you got a bidding war, but I think the Netflix bid is the one that puts a bit of a floor on the stock. Again, I don't think it trades to $30. But I think you can at least try to hold like that 27 area. If they were pricing it before as like 27.75, factor in that maybe the deal wouldn't go through. The chances that Netflix could update their deal in the next coming days. I think there's going to be buyers on this thing at some point. So let it settle down off of the open, and then look to run.
All right, Marvell's already starting to tick a little bit lower rate now, down now 9%, as I think these deals are somewhat connected, these two headlines with Carvana and Marvell. So let's just go back over the desk. We only have a minute and a half left. We'll get the story, then we'll start talking about what our positions will look like once we open up.
Cody Acree, Sean, of Benchmark, downgrading Marvell to hold from buy and remove the firm's price target. He says after extensive industry meetings, he has now a high conviction that Marvell has lost both Amazon's Trainium 3 and 4 chip designs to Taiwanese competitor AI Chip. That's the name of the company. Marvell has also guided investor towards increasing annual Amazon revenue, but Acree says this is being misunderstood by the street. Analysts believe this revenue growth is coming from continued Trainium 2 volumes, Adira, not from the Trainium 3 bullishness. What do you make of this story?
Yeah, I think here this makes sense, and there's also a lot of other negative sentiment around this stock. We know, of course, the Broadcom, Microsoft situation here. Microsoft reportedly switching away from Marvell and towards Broadcom for their chips. That adds to the sentiment. And as Sean mentioned, this is also considered a possible S&P 500 inclusion. Carvana beats it out, so lots of sentiment here for MRVL in addition to that downgrade.
All right, guys, 1 minute until the bell. What are you guys looking at right now?
10 seconds until the bell. Yeah, no, good call there, Sharif and Adara. Look, I think if Marvell goes lower, it's just getting hit right now. I think you could find some support there. The 50-period moving average is 88.50. So with only 4 seconds left, we want to thank OGen for opening this bell with us today, OGEN. All right, here goes Marvell. They're like just really clapped early right now. If we could turn off Adara's mic or somebody in the background, hearing something is fine. Downside there for Marvell now breaking through $90 and looking a little bit lower. I'm trying to look for SOFI if we get a little bit lower. And we're looking for the TQs if we get, I'm at 27.25. We just missed that for SOFI. And then the Nasdaq with the TQs, I always call this trading the market. So if you ever look at me in the TQs, I'm basically going long or short the Nasdaq. And I have this written down as the #1 trade today. We didn't get to go over the sticky note, but it's out there right now, 56 long. So we'll see if we can come back in. I just think there's too good news today in the market to really send this thing down. So we're going to wait if we are able to get something down there on the low side.
NVIDIA's flying.
Yeah, NVIDIA's going. This is what I mean. I think there's just such good news happening. Broadcom probably flying as well.
Yeah, NVIDIA's going absolutely ham right now to the upside. Just hit 184.5.
Yes.
One of the things we didn't get to, or maybe we did, I like Intel, but I don't think we're going to see the dip into 41 at all. And if NVIDIA is going up, there's always a decent chance that AMD is also going to the upside. So AMD just filled in half the gap, or half of the move from Friday. It's not really a gap. I don't know if you can call it a gap. Up to 221. Marvell, like it did have. Oh yeah, look at this thing. It's still falling. Down at 90. I was about to say it did have a little bit of a bounce there, but it just tagged 89. It got very close to SSR, I think. I think it needs to break $89 to go 10% to the downside. So if this does get 10% down, I might look for a reversion. I think 88's a support, but that shot to short it, you had to take it when the imbalances came at 928. There really was no other opportunity. And Warner Brothers, WBD, there was that sell imbalance on it. It opened up pretty much at VWAP, trying to hold up. If you're just tuning in now, obviously you have the Netflix offer, but now you've got Paramount Skydance offering $30 in straight cash for Warner Brothers. So that one is obviously heading higher. It's not going to trade at the exact price, but the market liking it for bidding war.
Yeah, Apple's straight upside here, as well as Netflix. As we continue to watch out, see what's going on with Netflix, they're going downside right now. So down into $98 again. That's that level that we talked about there for Netflix. And again, this is the level that held there on Friday on that news. So we're going to have to wait to see if it does hold right now, as there's pressure now on this deal, as we just mentioned there with Warner Brothers and whatnot, man. And I was just mentioning Apple because Apple took off again. Let's see what happens into that 280 mark. We've been been through here before, and it might do it again right now. Of course, there goes that TGL, your first circuit breaker halt of the day, and this was a fantastic trade on Friday that just halted numerous times on Friday on its way up to $24, $25, $29. Had to move in the post-market like insane, all the way from 23 once we closed at $22 there on Friday. We made that call shorting this $27, $28, which was pretty good. Went down to 23. We would have got stopped out for $1 though. And then up there, up to 63, now printing 55s is the tap. So 54, 55 right now on TGL, and of course halted. So we'll wait, that's gonna have to be 5 minutes. Looks like a circuit breaker halt upside there. Low float, just the same old story there for TGL. Quick check on Netflix again, 98.50. So that's trying to hold out. Apple, those levels. SOFI's, I mean, I'm trying to get into it, but we missed that by 20 cents. We weren't even really that close. We're waiting for 27.25, which is down here on SOFI. So if this market tries to slow down, then maybe we could get some love back in for SOFI, but it looks like that wants to continue higher as well. There's Carvana, man, sell the news. I mean, that was a pretty easy one. There to the downside, we're not in it yet, bouncing off the 200 period. Watch out for Carvana to lose the bid at some point today, I would think. But 428 right now trying to hold. The spread is $1 and change, so you got to be very, very careful with that one. And I'm just seeing on the scanner here that Meta is trying to do something as well. So let's have a quick look at Meta now, just touching up into VWAP and breaking a little bit higher there. But okay, so here come the futures looking to push just that little bit lower now. Might give us an opportunity to get long on some of these stronger names.
Yeah, and there's some strong names in the chip land, of course, obviously. Warner Brothers is bouncing off VWAP as we speak, so it's about 27.60-ish is going to be the volume-weighted average price. Right now, the top ended up being 28, so if that's what, look, man, if market makers think that that's a reasonable top for these things, I always try to respect that. I never think you're smarter than the people that make the markets on deals. That's the way I try to look at it. So if they're selling at 28, then I want to be taking profit in front of 28 every single time. Tesla, missed opportunity on Tesla. You could have, I guess you could have shorted right in front of 450. I was looking for a false break of the 450 level. Tesla now headed lower, so it's going to be patience for some of the longs, I suppose, out here. And then Marvell, whoa, okay. Marvell's already back in VWAP and churning.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been it. So forget about 88s. Maybe 89 was it on Marvell. It got real close. I was looking for it to go SSR and hit that 88, that 50 period on the daily. Doesn't look like it wants to go there. So far, so good. Warner Brothers just going to look for it to get to 28 and then look for the next scalp opportunity.
All right, here we go. That siren is a new position, of course, and we are now short RIVN. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening here with RIVN. You know, this was a level that we had written down here on our note. So no surprise there on the note, but we'll have to wait to see where it goes from here. Short now at 45s. So I just, downgraded a little bit today. We saw Tesla trying to make its move early, and, it did make a move, and it went lower. So right now, Tesla trying to get a little lower. We'll take Rivian there on a downgrade, and I do not love the stock anyways. And it's a 200 period, but hey, man, if we could be wrong on this one for sure, if it breaks this 62, 63 area, then we will be wrong there on Rivian. SOFI trying to come back in as well here just a little bit, so we can have a quick look. Okay, yes, wow. All right, SOFI is indeed coming in quite nicely right there.
I don't want it coming in.
So we'll wait to see if that does happen. But I'm only in one position right now, Rivian, and again, our position board has gone off. So I'll just, you must have got it. It's because you got to fill, I think.
That's Semtrex, CETX, Semtrex. Halted upside, now about to halt downside. So it opens up and immediately halts, and then it reopens, and it's about to immediately halt to the downside. Be careful on this. Semtrex, I don't believe we had it. I don't think there was a story on this one. No, so I'm pretty sure this one didn't have a story. It wasn't the only one that was like that. So just be a little bit careful trading that. While Tesla's really starting to drop as we get down to 440. 444, Tesla continues to head to the downside, while Marvell's relief rally just continues. It's not at 94. 94 is the resistance level I thought we wanted to be able to play off of. And I should be getting out any second now. WD looking for the next opportunity to get into the volume weighted average price. So I want to play VWAP here. Just want to look for, if I think there's going to be a bid and a trend on the stock, then I want to look for VWAP until it sets up a trend line. So right now, we'll get out at 28. There's a big wall there, but who cares? It'll probably punch through that. They don't care whatsoever. But I'll just buy the next available dip on this bad boy. So the market's kind of flattish, but there's a lot of individual names moving around. Obviously, Warner Brothers has the deal, and NVIDIA, Marvell, the chips are holding on to this strength, at least for the most part. They're starting to come back in here. Got to be patient. Got to be really, really patient, because I really thought Marvell was going to give a nice, good opportunity at that open. And if that was the bid, you don't want to get FOMO and start saying, well, we missed so long at 88, and then just start buying ridiculous prices. I'm waiting for 90. It was 94 or 88, so I'll just wait for it to get there. Haven't even had a 15-minute candle yet.
All right, no 15-minute candle, but doesn't mean you can't have some chicken dinner winners right now, so that we have one already. We've already taken some out there. We just got 27s there on RIVN, so we're going to take a little bit of profit there, and hopefully we can continue to fall down. I'll bid some 38s right now, and then we're just going to hope against that top there that doesn't fill. But look at the market. The market's really pulled back in here a little bit. So I actually would have thought that RIVN had a chance to get even lower than this. So I'm not like super impressed here with this move on RIVN, to say the least. So we did cover some there. I was hoping we'd get a little bit lower than where we just got to. So yeah, not super impressed, with this trade on RIVN, but we just took some profit, so we'll celebrate a little bit there and watch this go right back up to the upside. I'm not going to average back into this one. This one could get nasty real quick. That's RIVN against us. Let's just go back and find out right now. So good covers down there anyways. Let's just figure out Tesla. This is near that level that we liked, but it's already broken below it, to be honest with you. This 444, 440, I guess it was 446. We're at 444 right now. But this continues to get beat up just a bit there. So watch out below here for Tesla, as that's getting lower right there. So be careful with your Tesla positions if you're in it. That's looking like it wants to get lower there. Report of an earthquake in Japan there.
Tsunami warnings as well.
We hope that everybody is safe, obviously, there in Japan. And, well wishes to families if you're over there on that one. Alibaba there. And again, the Japan ETF is EWJ, I believe. So there it is on Japan. And you never want to take advantage of, obviously natural disasters, things like that. But you want to just look at the stock to see what it is. And Japan's been near the highs anyways. So not a good look there. We just hope everybody is doing well there in Japan. So be safe on all of that. And as
we didn't get a chance to talk about crypto.
Dropping a little bit, sure.
Yeah, there was a double bottom at 88,000 held on Bitcoin. I'm looking at the 90 level, particularly today, and 51 on IBIT. So whichever one ends up being better, but you are trending to the downside here. So there's IBIT, it's up, we gapped up, that's nice. But 51 or the 90K level, that's where I want to look for a bit of a bid. Right, WBD's trying to come off a little bit here, Warner Brothers, I should say. So it got to that 28. I figured that's where the market makers sold it before. That's where they could sell it again. VWAP will be about the same price for now at 27.6. I'm waiting for that opportunity here on Warner Brothers, but the market is looking a little bit weak. Oh, there was Workhorse. Remember Workhorse? Reverse split? Well, what happens on a reverse split? Stock usually has two said downside. So reverse split actually it almost doubled, and it's right back to where it was before. So just be careful. To me, I think you never want to chase those types of plays. Not a good look at all. So I bet I'm waiting for a dip buy. Intel was on my list at 41. So this actually has a chance to get there now with this fall. I like the 41 level. Just a bit of a round trip level from Friday. It bounced from 41 to 42.5. They had that old good news from Apple the other day. So I think there's going to be at least a little bit of a bid on this stock. So if we don't get Warner Brothers pull back, Intel's at least starting to trade down towards the level at 41, which we like. It's halfway there, and we're only at 941, everybody. So let us know in the chat what symbols you're looking at. Trip, I see you. Maybe Tesla is flipping, but next time you type Tesla, put in $TSLA, so it'll show up there right behind us. Right now, Semtrex is still leading the list. I'd expect Tesla to be leading, but maybe people aren't typing that $ in so that we can't find it. But there is a bounce on Tesla, so I think you're absolutely right. It's trying to go. Trying. Got to get through VWAP first. And remember, 450, huge resistance on Tesla.
Market, yeah, good. Good resistance levels. But look what's happening right now to Tesla. Sorry, to the market. The market right now just getting lower, taking out Well, I was going to say taking out pre-market levels, but they did, and they made a lower bid there. They hit a lower bid, but at the end of the day, it is bouncing a little bit here off of that. So it's too bad because we should have just been in anything else short except for RIVN, but we'll take a little bit more here at the 200 period and watch out for that high of 65 breaking. Like I said before, when the market does these things and your stock doesn't, it is obviously pause for a little bit of concern. So we'll have to wait to see if RIVN eventually does get back down. I'm bidding 43s right now, so maybe that will sort of abide here and we'll be able to get some pressure lifted off of RIVN, but we did go short again on that bump up here, just watching the markets. I wrote down on the note today that we like the TQs to come in a little bit here. So I was just thinking that there wasn't enough negativity in the market that we should go red there today. So I was going to look for 56. That's what we wrote down here on the note. It was a 56 long talk there for the futures. So if we were able to get that, then maybe that might be something. TGL, I think it opened and halted again. So now the tap is 46. So it does halt. It gets to 57. Then it goes halting the other way around. So that's going to be a problem there for TGL and whatnot shareholders here as it continues to halt away. That is, of course, TGL. So we'll have to watch out for that. And then the other halter that was running on the Friday was SMX. And apparently, you probably don't know about this one. This one was halted a few times there on Friday. This one really mooned up to $500. Oh, yeah, we had that bet.
What?
Yeah, we had some sort of a bet. I think it was Obi was over, I was under, so I'll win on this one. But it was just going to be over 400 or 500 on Monday, and it's downside right now. So SMX downside play there.
Was there a story on that?
I can't remember SMX. Another one of those things. It looks like RIVN right now is just going higher here. So we were kind of right about this one giving us a problem because it did not continue its downside push at all. So we're able to get out here. It looks like it'll be an L there on RIVN. We're just waiting for it to break 65s, which is that high. So once we break that, then we can just get out of it. And, we did average into it, but it'll be a hit, but nothing that we can't absorb. It's 944, so we didn't chase anything here. We just got stuck in this trade. So it looks like RIVN will come out and be a negative story for me there today. But I did want to look at Robinhood because this is a place that if the market does get weak, we know Robinhood gets bought up quite often. And this could be another one there, 132.50, right back into those levels from Friday. So that could be a price that we look at there for RIVN. Right there, Friday's sort of resistance level there. For Robinhood, could get bought up right there, 132 change for Robinhood. Watch out now.
Yeah, watch out now for sure. There's a bunch of other halters as well. There's an ATER, which is some ridiculously small name that is halted, and then IBIO. That's actually one that's worth trading. Well, I shouldn't say. To each their own. That's one that's a little bit more worth trading. Done 40 million shares. It just reopened and bounced off VWAP, so it's looking pretty strong here on IBIO. It might end up being more of a small cap. That's right. I'm smelling sawdust from earlier.
Yeah.
It might be like more of a small cap if none of the levels are coming into play for me. I might not get into Warner Brothers again where I like it. So I have IBIO on the radar because it's at the volume weighted average price and at least an opportunity. Marvell did not get to 94. It's kind of diddling in the middle of this range. I'd like it to press and then try to fade off a 94, but there is another chip name in play. CoreWeave did some dilution. They did an offering. They're down 5%. I don't know if we got to that one, but it's making lower highs. So just scanning around looking for opportunities that are in play. For now, CoreWeave is making some lower highs and might be the one if Marvell isn't. So there you go, fail break 85, fail at 84. If it holds this trend, that might be the short I can get myself into, Adara.
Just keep an eye here, and COIN TechCrunch reporting that the company Coinbase here has opened its app for registration in India after pausing for over 2 years. So again, looks like COIN is reopening its app for registration in India. No economic data here at 9:45 or 10 a.m. Back to you.
Okay, interesting there. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, more Coinbase news. There always seems to be something going on with Coinbase, that is for sure. We can have a quick little look at that stock and see what it's doing right there. So Coinbase, yeah, nice little high side there for 276. Okay, India is a great market, so I like that story there. More education there, more higher sort of caliber tech-related jobs. Obviously, if they're going to start blowing up the tech business, there's going to be a lot of traders or buyers of maybe looking at Bitcoin over there. there for Coinbase and India. So I think I like that story. Coinbase just an absolute monster right now, but up 2% is just, I shouldn't say monster, but 2% against a sort of a fledgling market seems to be pretty good. One of the better names to the upside there, it looks like, is Coinbase. So by the way, like, just to let you guys know, I was sitting there and I just got a 54, was it 55? Maybe a 50, I'll double check, 55? 55 fill there. So we actually just made a little bit of profit sort of on RIVN there, but we still have to have this thing fall back in before we do any sort of things here on RIVN. So watch out now, but we just took a little bit of a fill there as it came back into the 200 period. So my next fill is going to try to be around VWAP at 50s. If that can come into play, who knows? But that's what I'm trying to get right now with RIVN. So that's a little bit of a short there, blowing out at 71, of course. So sure, let's go back over to Neil.
Let's do it. Why? Because if you're a sophisticated trader in Canada, we've got some excited news for you. Beta Pro by Globex Canada, the largest provider of leveraged, inverse, and inverse leverage ETFs, just launched 6 new triple leverage ETFs. You got 3x bull and 3x bear exposure to the S&P TSX 60. You got semis. You've got U.S. Treasuries as well. But you know what? Doesn't stop there. They're offering a special fee rebate. Management fees are dropping to just 65 basis points till December 31st, end of this year. And U.S.-focused strategies use currency hedging. This allows potential for more pure performance and exposure. So if you are a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, then check out betapro.ca 3x daily to learn more. Scan the QR code you see right in front of you. If you're looking for a stock that diluted today, one of them would be CoreWeave. I'm sure there's actually others. I was about to say then it's CoreWeave you're looking for, but there's probably somebody else who also had an offering today. So the trend that I was mentioning just held. So we closed underneath my little 3-minute trend line here. And I'm going to look to maybe add on the trend as the low is about $82 on CoreWeave. So I think that makes a pretty solid target. You break the trend line, it's an easy out. So the prior bar right now is practically 84, it's like 83.90, and that would give me a nice little out there for CoreWeave because we didn't get a chance to go over this nice bounce with everything else the last couple of weeks. So even a pullback is pretty reasonable into about 75 on a higher time frame. For now, just going to play the trend line. And while we're being patient for the next opportunity in Warner Brothers, it is coming right back into VWAP. So VWAP now sits at about 27.65 or so. So this one, if you're just tuning in, Paramount Skydance. I was like, who?
Yeah, PSKY.
PSKY offering $30 cash, kind of upping the ante on Netflix, Warner Brothers, which we thought was going to be a firm deal, but there's regulatory issues, and now you've got a bidding war as well. So Warner Brothers looking strong because of that.
Yeah, maybe not so much there anymore with Netflix. So certainty runs in. Look, man, we wrote down 56 as our #1 trade for the TQs, man. It gets to 56.15s. Does not pick me up. I'm at 56.10. Like, I'm still there, so we just missed that, but that is what is life right here. Okay, man, we're starting to get into the positive side now of this RIVN trade, but it's still not going any lower. I mean, like I said, considering where this market was going, I thought RIVN could crack a little bit right now. We're flat. Like, if we were to get out everything at 58s, which it just was, because it's flash green, red to green on the P&L there for RIVN, and I'd have to get them all out at 58. So we just went to 55. That would have been a profitable trade if we had cashed them all out right there, but that would have been a flat trade. So we'll just hold on and see if this idea wants to work. But, you know, not being stubborn about this, getting out so that we don't lose on the whole boat if it does take out that 75 level there for RIVN. So we're going to be patient and see if that comes through. I'm not going to hold all the way to here, but that's not bad. If you didn't have like a decent amount of shares or you are comfortable holding, that's not bad. $18 to wait all the way up to there. I'm debating even switching and just doing that, but it hasn't been right. So maybe we'll get out on a day high break of 75 or so, and then watch to see if it reacts to $18. So that of course is RIVN. AAPL did have a nice start to the day, but then gave it all back as the market fell right back in again right there. Wow, MindMed, MNMD on the move higher there as well. 13 and change MindMed going upside right there, just pulling back in, and we talked about this as some of the feds there, I guess. I can't remember exactly who it was, talking about MyMed and psychedelics last week or so. So that's, getting some love there as well. And last week's runner, we had SMR bouncing off $18 all the way to 23, I believe. And then that's almost 24. And now came right back in. So there's a nice little top there for SMR. So we got to break through 24, then get excited again about this one. But Sam Michael Roberts, nice downside play there for SMRs. We still continue to watch out for our trade on RIVN. And then let's go look over Tesla here real quick for everybody. 445 coming through. That looks like we're going to get a little lower now, as here comes the Nasdaq maybe to retest some of those lows. So that 444 is held, and that might be one of those just trades that you're looking to execute if it comes back down, but then drop it if it loses it, right? You do not want to be in something that, wow, look up choppy Palantirs. Palantirs now had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 or so straight up days. So right back into the 50-period moving average. I feel like we should be maybe selling a little bit more of this, but I do want to hold on to something in case we do get back up to $200. So that's a good one there as well. Nasdaq might have just bounced again near that low that we had written down. So, oh man, 56.30. All right. Thinking about now upping our bid here, we may not catch that stray that we need down there at 56 flat. So we're at 56.10. We'll see if that can get going. But yeah, just to get in this market, I think is right. But you're underneath VWAP, you're underneath the 200-period moving average. And then one more little look here, Meta. Meta is the one. Oh, wow, look at that. Ominous, 6666666. Right
that's
there.
A problem.
So that's a problem as Meta just continues to go lower there, and we just saw it. There it is again. Wow, someone, see, so there is a hidden order here. Like that should be breaking. You're seeing a lot of trades going in between those levels.
Traders get funky like that, though.
Yeah, but you know what? Now that I think about it, there wasn't much trading there. But yeah, to Neil's point, sometimes you'll see levels like that hold around for no reason other than the number that it's at. But that's pretty stubborn if you do that. But there it goes right now. Meta to the downside. We'll see if we break that 668 now. Futures trying to figure itself out. I'm still in RIVN. Unfortunately, it doesn't want to go down. It'll be a much smaller hit than it could have been if it just kept on going straight upside. So thankfully, we do get a little bit of a drop down there. And then Alibaba, oh, there it goes. Okay, we just got stopped out there. I guess it breaks 70. That was supposed to be the play. So out of RIVN with a fail right there for 0 for 1 so far there today with RIVN. Alibaba is the one. I was just looking at that quickly before that just happened. Nice move up to the high of the day on Alibaba as well. So watch out for this stock breaking higher right now, Alibaba.
Yeah, Baba going higher. The market's still holding barely on the greens. I did finally get at least close to the volume-weighted average price. I'm going to quickly show you guys the market. We could have a bottoming tail candle here, but all you've done is rinse the high and now potentially rinse the low for a bit of an inside day. So there's still a lot of time to settle this one, which direction we're going to ultimately head. Just a bit of a shakeout of both directions. So waited for VWAP here on Warner Brothers, and then I'm still in CoreWeave. They had an offering this morning. It's holding under the volume-weighted average price. The pre-market lows at about 82, and then if you were to zoom out a little bit further, you have a lot of range underneath 82. So short to 82, and then if it breaks that, kind of look at it as another opportunity for sure. But this is not going to be good for the market if this continues on NVIDIA. And what I mean by this is 85 just got rejected, VWAP just got destroyed. We're headed right back to where we started on NVIDIA, unfortunately, which shouldn't bode well for any of the chip names, at least last I checked. Marvell, for everyone out there watching, still slightly trending to the downside. The big story this morning, Microsoft taking AVGO's side, expanding and going away from Marvell. So Broadcom was up on that news, but even Broadcom's starting to sell back off here. So yeah, weakness overall in the market. There's not a lot of strength unless you're looking at some small caps, everybody. Oh, Intel is getting
burning now. I don't know what the hell is going on.
You smell?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So it's not toast. Neil's often said to me, like, hey, if you ever smell something like burning toast, let me know, because there's that whole thing.
I get a little paranoid about it.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's that sawdust is traveling around here right now as well. Okay, I know we're underneath everything right now, but I was just looking at this level right here for the futures, $56 or so. That's what we were talking about this whole time. So in this move down, like Netflix is still going a little bit lower now as well. So that's a 97. Oh, it's a hazardous. So there's something, I don't know if this means like what's happened here in Japan, but apparently there's,
I don't know where you play it.
Just hearing there. I don't know if there's some uranium issues there or not, but there goes tsunami warning center there in Japan. It's not great there. Russia also speaking about it as well. So Russia limiting gold exports right now, so we could check maybe out something about GLD. The U.S. dollar, of course, is going higher here against the yen on that news. Gold 386, 387, not much going on there. But yeah, sorry, back to the futures there. I was thinking back to the futures. That's a good one. I was thinking about this little level there, 56.30 maybe trying, but we're still going lower. I might just wait to see about this play here again on the futures instead of just hopping in right now. But I don't mind playing against that wick, and if we're wrong, we get sort of wicked out there. There still is some good stories, obviously, in the marketplace. As we still talk about some AI, we talk about what was at one point there NVIDIA's strength today, as that's fallen back in. Maybe it's better to buy NVIDIA than the futures because NVIDIA still remains pretty strong. We can play off that 183 level if we can come into it. That's the 200 period moving average. So yeah, it might be a play there for NVIDIA rather than the futures. So maybe we can do that if this plays back into 183. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, I am still debating taking the Nasdaq here long as we've kind of made some lows in now. It's almost 10 o'clock. So yeah, I think we can probably go for this. So let's try it a little bit here. And this time we'll try it against same kind of levels, breaking through that 56. It's what we looked at before. We'll see if that's going to be a trigger spot for us, breaking through $56 right now on the futures. Maybe buy something here, 56.20, and then see where we go from there. But just a small little starting position here on the Nasdaq. We may be a little bit early on this play. Yeah, wow.
I knew that existed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fabian.
I remember requesting that like a couple of years ago, or a while ago. I knew that shit existed.
Fabian, please, did he give you the code for that? Because I need
No,
that.
I don't have the code for it, but
all right, Fabian,
I didn't hit that. But just send us the code because that is absolutely cash money. Apologies for my language a second ago. I think it's a really awesome graphic. I just found some relative strength that I like.
Yes.
It's going to be high-ho silver, everybody. Somebody's selling it at 53, or SLV, I should say, at 52.9 to 53. But it's been able to hold the inside range while the market heads down, and you add support here from Friday. So as long as it continues to hold this line here at 52.6, I might look breakout at 53. Well, not might look. I am going to put a breakout order through 53. So that's right. It's I always forget this. It's Amex, and my stop orders are slightly different on the Amex. Get my stop order in. This will be one that doesn't show up. But anyways, if 53 breaks, I'm going to look to go long on that. And Warner Brothers, by the way, is going to move a little bit with regard to Netflix. Netflix is catching a bid as we speak. So if this is catching a bid, then I'm going to like WBD a little bit more off of this volume weighted average price. I'm going to add here at VWAP as we go to Adara. We're happening now.
Looks like I have some Japan update as well. Kyoto reporting that there are no issues at the Fukushima and Higashidori nuclear plant. So it doesn't look like there's a nuclear issue here in Japan. I just want to provide that update. Let's talk here about the market because here is the Nasdaq. If I could update this a bit. See if we get a moment here. Yeah, Nasdaq pushing lower, that's for sure, this morning, though initially, first 15-minute candle actually quite green. We do, of course, have Fed day on the horizon. On Wednesday, we are going to get an update, which is likely highly anticipated here to be a rate cut from the U.S. Federal Reserve, or their FOMC. So keep an update on that. We also have comments here coming from likely FOMC chair successor here, Kevin Hassett, saying that the Fed should continue to get the rate down and that he'll actually take that Fed chair position should President Donald Trump offer it to him. Of course, WBD and PSKY and Netflix remain on watch as the bidding war between Paramount's guidance and Netflix for Warner Brothers continues. But let's talk about Carvana because CVNA had a massive gap to the upside this morning. They're set to join the S&P 500 alongside FIX and CRH. That'll take place as of December 22nd, 2025. MRVL, meanwhile, this one was actually not added to the index, though it was considered a potential addition here, competing with Carvana, but they're also dropping after a report back on Friday afternoon suggested that Broadcom was going to be working here with Microsoft on their in-house chips. So Marvell getting ousted. They also got a downgrade or negative price analysts note this morning as well from benchmarks. So keep an eye on MRVL. And last but not least, TSLA trading near day's lows. Going to get downgrade here from notably bullish analysts, at least for the most part here, Morgan Stanley. So Interesting note here and change of the tide for TSLA, though. Morgan Stanley did actually still raise their price target for Tesla. Before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we'll take a moment to thank our friends at Origenics. Millions of concussions, zero approved therapies. Origenics, trading on the NYSE's OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Origenics is positioned to drive what comes next. See what's ahead. Book a meeting today. Make sure to like and subscribe as we send you over to Sean and Neil.
Ridiculous.
Just real quickly, I didn't highlight this. So we obviously got stopped out at the very highs of the day there on RIVN, like as if like we had a good position, man, and this would have totally made our daily goal there if we had hit it all the way back into here. But we literally got stopped out at that very moment, right there at the highs. So I don't know if we got ran or whatever, but I'm okay with it. We got back in, and we're making a little bit back there on RIVN. It will not be our top stock here, but. I mean, you had that Back to the Future thing. I'm going to get what that code is in a couple seconds here when Fabian sends it. But there it goes, man. We know exactly what we're doing around here, except for when I put in the wrong price. I put in a stop breaking 56, and I put 56.98, not 55.98. So we got punched out that we just obviously bought it right back in, and there it goes right now as these start to really make amends for our mistake there early, but there it goes now. Nice move higher as we get going, and then just to try to buy some more. This is a good level for RIVN, so we should have just bid some 40s there. Am I not bidding 40s? Oh, I'm bidding 35s. A break. We already got the 40, sorry. Breaking back down through 40 into 35. Hopefully that comes true for us on RIVN. So yeah, my bad, man. Like that was literally top tick, and you know when you have serious shares, it does hurt. But we did talk about it when it happened, and then just breaking back in after 2 minutes, just realized that, hey, man, maybe that was the top, and I don't know, took it with smaller shares. So definitely not the win there that we had hoped for early on, but that's okay. What it did was just helped us refocus, and we talked about it, and I saw people in the chat there with that futures play. They liked it. They're starting to go now back to the upside. Some said I was early, some said I was late, but at least we're in right now. So here we go. Nice upside move right now. This will be a monster, hopefully a monster, but we'll see. Trying to get a little bit above. Next area for me, I'm sitting right now nowhere on them because we just got the offer we wanted. We got this 50. So if we can come up to here into 60 or so, I kind of like that area now. For a level of concern for me. So 60s in and around here, that's the high. So let's go to 55 right now on the TQQs and then really, you know, get this day popping off for me here. It'll put us back to green, hopefully, if we can get that one. Because we did take the L there on RIVN, and sure, we've made some back. And, just in case this doesn't bounce, let's put another bid here at 42, and then we'll see if we can get that fill, and then we'll just work off of that. So right now, there it is. So we get the 42 fill coming back in. Today, like I'll just tell you right now, we're flat on the day, and that's including both this RIVN trade and then, of course, the big one here on the futures. So we'll go 1 for 2 because unless this RIVN somehow comes back, we can't count this as a W. We got stopped out right there. So that's okay. 91. It looks like IBIT, unfortunately, has been very disappointing. Get down.
We could hit
right now. Yeah, so that's the thing. If it does hit 90, I think that's pretty key. Volume, candle, not really any volume here today other than the open. So IBIT just kind of drifting lower similarly to the market. And there you go, man. That's why we take out, thank you, Randy. That's why we do take out a little bit of profit in and around there on the futures. And now it comes right back in. So nice move lower now. We're receiving the benefits of the low print with RIVN, but the futures getting hit here. We're buying more at 20 and then at 10, and then we're out at O's. So just that's my plan of action here off the futures to see what winds up happening here today. But so far, so good. Yeah, Randy is the Mandy.
Well, speaking of getting wicked out, I think I just got wicked out of core even. Sometimes you don't get back in. So it broke. I mean, VWAP's just a line on a chart. The support or the resistance, I guess, in this case was at 84. It did wick me out. I immediately went to jump back in here, but it just slammed. They slammed the bid after the volume-weighted average price. Still in Warner Brothers for now. But the market's still testing red and not looking it's not looking particularly good. At least Netflix, there's that smell again.
Is it wood? I don't know what it is.
No, it is. It's like, you know what? I find that when you like, when you feel, it's like burning wood or whatever, or sawdust. Like it can be like a really nice smell, but it's very distinct. Very, very distinct. Anyways, Netflix is attempting to catch a bid here. What I don't like about this is there's a portion of the Warner Brothers deal that is actually going to be stock. So in a sense, some of this is going to follow Netflix. If it loses a bid, I think you lose VWAP here. But if you catch a bid, I think that gives you some strength. So Warner Brothers was just starting to bounce. And I was actually, here, I got to really zoom in because the range is really tightening up on this. So I was able to, it kind of bopped up about like 10 cents or so, got some out, and then reloaded it back in. But it's really starting to level off here as you're getting that consolidation in Netflix. So if that's going to be the case, I think it's like scalping inside here. It's like 27.75 or so into about like 85 until we get some kind of a bounce in Netflix is going to make some sense. I'm trying to get back into CoreWeave. Obviously, there's a big news in the chip space revolving Broadcom and Marvell. Marvell right back in and testing some of these lows. So I liked 88 for Marvell. I think there's still a chance this could get down there for a bit of a dip buy. But yeah, just for me, it's going to be Warner Brothers again. So we took the hit on CoreWeave. Might be able to get back into that at VWAP, we'll see. But now the long here in Warner Brothers, second time through. We're going to look to see if that can go. If Bitcoin gets to 90K, that's the level I'm trying to support. It's on my note, but I think you had to be patient because some of the levels not really coming in. We're weak enough that we could get there, though.
Yeah, we're bidding still 35s on RIVN. We just tried to get that, and then plus our TQQs. We got another fill right now at 43s or whatever that fill was there, 43s, yeah. So we'll have to watch out to see if that's going on. Again, we do have that stock visualizer in there behind us. Let me just have a quick little look to see what stocks you guys are talking about right now. And yeah, Semtrek, so that's SETX. We could definitely have a quick look over there at that level, at those levels anyways, $6.50, up 100%. I'm just gonna actually pause this for a second. So GPCR, I mean, another name that we haven't looked at all. NVIDIA finally is catching a little bit of a bid here as the market's trying to go back upside, which is a hell of a good sign for your boy right now. Let's go. Nasdaq trading. Futures time, man. We went right into that, and that's been really good trade, obviously. Netflix IBIO, that's always a name that seems to be pretty popular around these joints. SOFI as well, down. I'd like to pick up some SOFI. We talked about that, more near $27, I'm thinking, for SOFI, possibly something there as well. Intel, 41, man. Intel had a nice little run over last week, but did stop around that 43 marker. We can have a double check there. AVGO, nice move higher. What happened there? Oh, we got out of some more futures. 2.7% now, so that's good. With a deal on Microsoft, Confluent there. We're looking at that with IBM news, and then Novartis there, 977. So Confluent today up actually. It's a little bit. I didn't think the premium was that high, but I guess it is 29%.
That's not huge.
No, but I must have been looking at the wrong thing. I thought it was only like 26 to 29 there, but yeah, so there it is, CFLT today. Oopsies, CFLT being bought by IBM. We could definitely check out IBM there. It's $11 billion. It's $31 in cash. So nice up and down. You're not going to see much of a spread happen on this name. It's always going to be 1 penny, but the price here just trying to figure itself out. And once it settles, which maybe it has right now, down to 75, between 70 and 75. Adara, when is this deal closing?
It's closing mid next year.
Mid next year. So you're going to have to wait for that $31, and it'll just slightly get back there to the upside. And yeah, you can watch out for CFLT. And then that is IBM related news today. Wow. Okay. They like the deal for IBM. Like, the reason why I say that is we did have opportunity to buy that down there at 301.
I would have thought lower.
Yeah, no, I don't buy. I mean, unless you really know something about this deal, like that's a risk. Like we saw what happened there.
The way I like to do it is if I like the stock in a general sense, if it gets beaten up because of it, that's where I'm trying to buy that. I'm not trying to predict how good this is going to be for them. I'm just like I like IBM at the 50 period. If it had sold off like 2 or 3 points, I actually think it maybe a 4 or 5 would have been closer to what I needed. Then I would have been a buyer. But if we're bouncing now. Well, there wasn't strength at Intel at 41. So like that's a level on a chart, doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy it there. When it gets down there, it completely blows through, makes a low at, is this Friday's, we'll call this like Friday's pre-market bottom, and now it's trying to break trend. So if it can hold the trend line and break 41, then I'm gonna like it a little better to the long side, but I gotta do this to myself because I did not get back into CoreWeave. And CoreWeave just did this. It just got right back into the low of the day. So it kind of broke broke that little trend that it was on to the downside and continues to head lower. So there's a lot of weakness coming back in to CoreWeave and some of the chip names. I put the blame potentially on NVIDIA here as that continues to trend down. It's hard for CoreWeave to catch a bid if NVIDIA is continuing to trend down. So Intel, silver is not going to break that 53, not with the recent weakness that just came into the market. IBIT headed down to 90,000, so that could get there.
Yeah, yuck.
Yeah, that could get there before we even test this trend line. We're at 90,400 on Bitcoin. So 90,000 is the support level that I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, yucky. Right there. Not very happy days for crypto. That is for sure. I think it goes lower significantly from here, but we are hoping, of course, not for that to have happen. You know, and by significantly, like maybe back down to that 85 area or so. You know, that could be a case that gave me. Right. So here it is, right here on Bitcoin. This is, of course, a 5-minute chart right there. Yeah. Bitcoin versus US dollar. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's Binance. I don't know why this chart doesn't look that great. Here, let me just fast forward this and refresh. Okay, I must have some sort of settings wrong. There we go, just zoom back out a little bit. All right, so this is dropping into 90,000. Yeah, that's the right price, right? 90,200 right now. Is that right? Okay, yeah, the chart just looks a little silly. All right, let's just go over to a quick, let's go to a little bit of a broader chart here, 45 minutes, just to see. So this is that area that's held. This is why we mentioned that 85,000. It's still fine. I wouldn't really worry about this. Not the cows aren't coming home here or anything on Bitcoin. It's just we didn't break. So you kind of got back into here, back up to 94, stop, drop back in, and then you come back into right into there, 86.2, 86.5 for crypto. That could be that next little level there. So have a quick little look on that one. Finally, RIVN, you're doing it, baby. Nice move down there, man. I'm still bidding 35s. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'd hate to be celebratory and then miss that 35 area. We'll bid some 37s. There it goes. Maybe we can get that. There it goes, man. Yeah, nice hold there. So we did get back in, and this could be just an absolute monster trade. Like, we did have some shares up there, and unfortunately we had to drop it, and that was right there at the top. But stick with it, get to the backside there. And the reason why we get out is that this could continue this way. And if it continues that way, I have way too many shares. It's way too early in the day for me to get absolutely destroyed. So we punch out there, you know, lick our wounds a little bit, see that it doesn't go, pat ourselves on the back, say basically we have the top there, get back down to the downside with less shares. So if it wins, great. That's what we're doing now, making back more than half. And if it loses, then we don't have that much to worry about because, again, our stock is smaller amount of shares. So get out, lower some of the risk there, put this back on. Does it suck when that happens? Yes, because this should be an absolute banger. But the problem is we got to stay somewhat disciplined with that trade. So, all right, we do catch a bid there. So let's get some out at 29 if we can here, as we did catch another bid on the futures. So here we go, man. We're going to go back to the future. I know Fabian's over there, but message me if you already have. I apologize. I haven't looked. Oh, you sent it in the chat. Okay, where? Thank you. There it is, 22.24. Thank you so much. Okay. We'll get that one back through, but we are going back to Cali with the futures here. So we'll see what happens there. Good outs, obviously, on RIVN, and then the futures trade, trying to make a little bit of sense here. Nice move downside now, trying to buy this dip. Watch out if it breaks 56. We don't need to be in this on a day low break. So we'll absorb the hit here, but I like the trade. We're out of more than half, but we just got a nice little reload. So we got to tap out a little bit of that. Our last reload was right there. I told you every 10 cents. So there's our fill at 20. There's our fill at 30s, 20s, 10s, O's out. It looks like it's getting back in. We just missed some outs there. We're at 29s. It literally went to us, but hopefully it comes back in. All right, the market's just heading lower here, so I don't necessarily love that.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's now at 90,150. So here's IBIT. I got it up. I said 90,000 was a bit of a support level, and then $51 over on IBIT. It's effectively the same thing. So as it starts to come down in, I'm just looking for like bottoming tail candle, trend break, maybe like a false break of 90K, which you'll be able to, like I'll be able to see it here, but I'll see it on the tape of. Ideally, I'll be able to see it on the tape as well. So again, this could be the first, if it breaks trend above and never tests 90,000, that's fine. Like I'll still take the trend break. Ideally, it trades all the way into 90,000 before we get there. I did scalp a bunch out of Warner Brothers. It's starting to really tighten up the range, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it's happening. So gotta take profit where it lies. But here comes IBIT or Bitcoin, everybody, as it is going to potentially potentially, I don't want to jinx it because I've done this before, break this trend on the 3-minute. So just from VWAP, first connect, this would be like the third spot here for a bit of a bounce. So Bitcoin trying to go with the market. And the other thing to consider is you're effectively flat. The Nasdaq is flat right now. We're at O's on the Nasdaq, slightly down on the ES. So this is also the market attempting to hold green at this moment. So I think Bitcoin, we've seen this before. Like sometimes it'll lead a bit of a bounce. I think you could just have like an everything at support at the same time, and then that's a confluence to break this little downtrend that we're in. But I'm trying to be pretty patient here for this to actually show me a trend line break. Otherwise, wait for the 90,000 level, getting pretty close. And for those small cap traders out there, I know there's a bunch of them that are continuing to go absolutely crazy. That Treasure Global.
Oh, yeah. Right about that.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to go down with the ship, right? Like it's noble and all that stuff and whatever. I think it's kind of silly the captains do that so they can get off safely. But halted downside, I think 5 or 6 times. It's threatening to break down again and give up pretty much all that gap that it made on, this would have been Friday after market. So yeah, we talked about this as being, I don't know, like a couple dozen halts on Friday. Well, it's on its way again, and unfortunately to the downside. This is why we tell you to be careful.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us here, of course. Why did my YouTube change? Like I was on this page and then all of a sudden it went off of it. But if you're watching right now, do hit the like and the subscribe right now. Over 800 right now watching. So thank you so much for that. We definitely like that at 1018. Right, well, 1.2K. I then like that one. Hit the like. 8,900 now watching. Remember, just for those of you that are tuning in now, that's thank you very much. But we are also live at 8 o'clock right now. So join us every single day at 8 a.m. We get the Joey options plays. We got the upgrades and downgrades. We go through our rundowns. We go through the watch list. We talk about all the plays that we may be looking at or not today, including the sticky note plays, which had RIVN as a short, which right here at 1750 is what we wrote down. It didn't necessarily. The problem is, again, we started a little bit too early in the 30s, and then by the time it came up to the 50s, we kind of had to average in, got stopped out, and then took it back, and that came through here. We also have the futures written down here at 56. So starting a bit early on this, but there we go. We do get our 30s, or sorry, our 29s out right there. So 10 cents. We're just trying to go like, this was a little more than 10 cents. That got up into 50s. So that was 30 to 48 50s or so. There's some 45s as well, some 40s. And then back into 30s again, 20s into 30s. Now we'll see if it wants to hold those bottoms, but this trend is looking lower. So I'm not going to average in again there. We're going to wait for 10s, and then that's it. If we break lower, we are gone on that one. People chanting a little bit about Apple. What movement is that happening here? Nothing. So pass on that one. And then we had movers early today, including Marvell, which was going to the downside, and that looks like it's going to continue to do that as well, bouncing off. I mean, 89 is still a great little level there for Marvell, but you want to see if that can hold. Again, I think it was 87 or so for Marvell, and then, yeah, this broke. So unfortunately, Netflix breaks. I mean, how easy was that trade breaking 98 there? I mean, it breaks 98 and doesn't even think about it. I guess there was one wick right there at 934, but once we came back upside, we sort of bounced off of 98.50 and then just started to drip. And now Netflix with pressure from PSKY, of course, Paramount now saying that we'll pay a little bit more. Don't worry about that. So there we go. So that's going to apply some clear pressure right now to the deal. And Warner Brothers shareholders are uniting strongly on this because that continues to tick higher. Well, not continues, but does have a nice move higher into 28.20 top. I know Neil was looking at that one for you guys earlier. And then Advanced Micro Devices, we're going to get ready to go over to Adara right there. Yeah, so that 223, that reminded me of Friday, did it not? I mean, what was the high there on Friday? Yeah, so 223.50, almost 224 there. So there's that move on AMD from Friday, high move there. This time it falls back on Friday into the 200 period, almost the same thing again here today. So we'll see if there's some work to be done here for AMD, but the futures continue to tick a little bit lower. It looks like we may finally get our last reload here at 56.10 for the S&P, or for our Nasdaq long TQQs, and there it is. We have this now finally. So we're going to go back to the futures when we get back from Adara. But all right, let's go back over. Yeah, they could check my mic if it keeps popping. I'm not even sure what that means, but Andre is listening to it as well. So thanks for all of that. And Adara back over at the desks with, I think it's small cap recap-ish.
It is. I also have some update here. I just saw this from about 5 minutes ago. Axios reporting that Jared Kushner, U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law, is actually helping Paramount finance their bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. So again, reportedly getting some, Paramount's going to be getting some help here from the Trump family for this bid for WBD. Again, Axios just reporting that. Let's start here with these small caps. iBio on watch. No news from today. They did appear at an industry conference back on Friday, so there is, I guess, some delayed news there for iBio. Market cap here around 41 million, nothing super significant. Much larger market cap here for GPCR or Structure Therapeutics. This name has a market cap of around $9 billion, so quite a bit larger. This one having positive data here for its obesity treatment. I do want to mention as well here, GPCR with about a 9% short float. Last but not least, WVE. This is about a almost $16 name right now. WVE or Wave Life Sciences, much like GPCR, they actually do have some positive weight loss drug data. So WVE, GPCR, and iBio on watch today. Of course, TGL also going to be on the move. Before we send you back to Neil and Sean, guys, I just found something crazy. I'm digging into exchanges and stumbled across BTCC, top 30 globally, but here is the wild part, guys. They've never been hacked. Well, major exchanges keep getting wrecked. BTCC stays untouched. Zero KYC if you're in US, Canada, or Europe. Through Trader TV, you get 100 USDT coupons for registering and a 15% bonus thing that covers losses up to 15K USDT. Seriously, what am I missing here? Scan that QR code for more info as we send you back to Sean and Neil.
What did I do? What are you missing here? Well, apparently you're missing out on an opportunity. But if it was that Kushner story, I have no idea. But it was almost as Adara was talking about Warner Brothers, it broke the volume weighted average price. So for me, that was where I was only looking to buy it. Once you lost underneath, ended up like punching out. So just I'll throw this out there. I always tell people trade with stop orders. I'm the first person that I always trade with a stop. However, if something's doing like, in this particular case, it's a deal, it's ridiculously liquid, 44 million shares, I've been trading for a long time. I prefer, if I'm looking at something like the volume weighted average price, to get myself out as opposed to just using a hard stop. So in this particular case, like I was able to get most of it out in kind of like the low to mid 60s. And it was like one, I'm not short the stock, but there's like one purple because I was still offering at like 66 and then just sort of punched out and it called it a short because I had another offer out there. But that's one of those things. Like I will almost always use stop orders, but if I'm trading a buyout, I tend to want to get myself out manually if I have that opportunity to. So that's why I'm going to get it like 3 times. Sometimes you'll see like a couple of times. The IBIT tried to break trend. It started to go and then just retook the prior bar. So on every trend break, I have the same look. It's hold the trend line, break the trend line, and then give it to the prior bar. If it's a wick, then I use the bar open and closes. I just like that a little bit better. But now we're at 90,000. We just broke 90,000 to 89.95. God. This is the level I like. It's about 51. I said that's approximate, everybody. It's not like 90,000 and 51 will be the same thing. But if we can hold 90K here, then I'd look for another kind of trend break. So that resistance, actually, I guess we resisted 90,000 in the afternoon on Friday. Is the market heading lower? Yeah, let's see if Bitcoin can hold that 90,000 level. Not looking very strong so far. I mean, we were looking pretty good at one moment. Not so much anymore. But 90K, this is the level I like, so I'm going to take my shot if we can catch any kind of a bounce. But if there's no bottom tail or trend break, I'm not just going to sit on the bid because it happens to be a round number.
Yeah, so we unfortunately that futures trade can't hold with Bitcoin tanking. So I'm going to go short here on the play now because we tried the long. I got to put this back in my ear. We did try the long there on the futures, so that's going to be, thankfully our RIVN's going down, but it's saving a little bit of this trade, but we lost. So loser there as we tried to go long and tried to support that bid, and it just didn't come through there. So that's going to be an L, and that's fine. And then well, it's not fine. We lose. We don't ever like to lose on a trade, but now we're starting to go, so that's good. Being able to get it, okay, well, we'll make a little bit back again on this one. This is very similar to what happened to us on RIVN, where we got stopped out at the top and then able to buy it back. It's kind of like the same way here, except for we don't go the same way. We play the momentum downside right there. So breaking through 96. Unfortunately, we got 92s. I'm also waiting at 97 to see if we got a little bit more action there, but we can make this all back. Wow. Okay. Now we're starting to accelerate a bit. Get down there. Rivian's going to be a good one. All right, right into these levels. Let's just take this. Wow, good thing we did get some short on that play as it breaks through some of these levels, and there it goes a little bit lower right now. So right into these lows from Friday goes the market. So yeah, it looks like we're getting lower, lower, lower. I thought the news was going to be pretty good there, considering that the Fed rate cut is all but certain right now. I'll refresh this just real quickly. It was 89.6% earlier. Now you're at 10:30 and it's 89.9. So basically the same percentage chance that on Friday. On Wednesday at 2 p.m., where you'll all be joining us, by the way, so thank you for doing that, we will have a rate cut there happening, and it looks all but certain right now. I actually wanted to just to see the broader market a little bit. I know Dara did her small cap recap segment there, but today doesn't look that great, right? I mean, there's not too much strength right here market wide. So you're going to look down here though. This is where all the money is today. Broadcom, AMD, Cisco, GE, Micron. We should have looked at that. That got caught an upgrade. We talked about them heading into, again, I'm not sure what I can't even click on it. Okay. I'm not sure what Micron was doing here today, but we can have a quick check on that as well. Meta, Tesla down 2.6, Eli Lilly, some of these healthcare technology names continue to get hit today, so that's not great either. Boston Scientific, robot names there today down 3%. So, some of these movements that we'd seen on Friday.
Micron gave it back, but not all of them.
Yeah, Micron gave it back. Okay. I just wanted to say, okay, so we shorted more on the TQs there. It was IRBT. I want to check out some of the robot plays from last week to see if there was any sort of continuation on these, and it looks like down 3%, which is pretty good. Right back into Friday's levels there from the evening. So iRobot gets a nice bid there early today, but really hasn't caught one at all while this market's been open. So downside there. And then Rich Tech Robotic was another big name that we looked at for the robotics space last week as well. That's faded out today. And then my play that I made, I just added a little bit to my account here, was this ARC play. ARC, not on Blue Ocean, of course, probably on Amex. And we were lucky enough to get this at 109, so an ETF trying to get some love there as well. Wow, the futures just really shot all the way here. This is what, oh no, data not really loading too much. Okay, well, this is not going to load on my daily chart. It may just crack after all of that. Okay, right back in. Here come the futures. Oh, that's not even changing. There it is. Okay, so we did reload it. So let's wait to see what winds up happening. We're now short at 95 here on the TQQs. And of course, we haven't had any good trades today. Now, come on, man, I got to stop hitting that, I guess. We'll wait to see if we can get a little bit of a bid. I'm just going to stop out, honestly, if we start to break this 21 period, so this trend back in. So maybe 56.30 or so there for the TQs. So if we can break above the 50 period, then we'll get out. But let's play the momentum short on kind of a no news day, really, here, besides stock specific. We do have the Netflix news with Warner Brothers. I don't think that that's really affecting the market too much, except for maybe just uncertainty with future deals. But that's such a big one that
I think it's.
And then the Bitcoin losing 90K. I think
that's
you're on it now.
Technically, probably a bigger deal. And the news this morning was more that Microsoft Marvell thing, and then the S&P 500 additions, right? Like who got in Carvana, who didn't get in Marvell, and there's a couple of other names that get the nod. So I think that's going to be a big deal. Unfortunately I'm back in as we're again attempting to hold that 90,000 level on Bitcoin. We just first available push off the 51 long, give it to the prior bar low. If we can hold this, great. If we can't, so be it. But I wanted to go to was just Marvell. That's what I wanted to talk about, because Marvell, it's now at a double bottom at 89. 88's the level I like for Marvell. If it gets sold off, I think too far, the 50 period's going to be at 88. It'll also be 10% down any second now. It has to. I think it has to break this low. So if you break this low, I believe, or at least make an attempt to break 89, then we'll be 10% down on Marvell. But it's 88 in the 50 period in particular that I like a little better. It is trending. So I think looking for a trend break is going to make a little bit of sense here. As not looking very good is Marvell. CoreWeave, that'll be like to me, that's the frustrating one, obviously. I feel like I was trying to play it on trend, but didn't allow it to make its own lower high. Right? Like it was kind of form-fitting in there in the first 15 minutes. And I feel like after 10 o'clock is a better spot to look for trend. And that was certainly clear as CoreWeave down 7.5% on an offering. So there was news here, particularly for CoreWeave. They're doing some dilution, which is not usually met very well. Next available pop. So when next time we get a bounce in CoreWeave, I'll just look to see if I can't jump back into the trend. Like this was the name that I wanted to the short side. I see people saying SMR is looking to head to the downside here. Well, the market's going down. SMR, there was an imbalance on this at 9:30. That was about it. I don't recall there actually being a story with SMR that I was aware of, but we did have a bit of an imbalance going into the open. Yeah, it's been weak for a while. But I think when the market's headed down, this is exactly the kind of name that's going to be relatively weak. The chips give a lot of it back, and SMR is going to follow in that game. Of course, being a data center power play. In theory, they ain't selling anything yet. So I'm back into IBIT, got my stop at the prior bar low, which is literally the low of the day here, and we'll see if this one actually wants to get back to VWAP. But it has not cracked a new trend line. So if I draw a new trend line, I'm now just playing off 90,000 because we're here. It has to break this trend line. Then I would actually add to this because you're also breaking a trend line, which makes it a better trade in my opinion. So yeah, looking for an IBIT bounce. Still not making another trade on Warner Brothers unless it can hold VWAP. Looks like they really rejected that high at 28. For whatever reason, the market makers seem to peg that 28 level as a sell. And they usually know what they're doing. They throw in a bunch of money, those merger arb traders. So yeah, here comes a bit of a bounce on Bitcoin. I'm looking to take some off in front of 5130 and then 5150. But if we can get the good trend break, I'm also trying to add here in front of 51.
Yeah, I like, good talk there. I'm a little bit nervous because, I like the Bitcoin sort of discussion there. I know you're going long, which is what's making me nervous because if the long on Bitcoin winds up bouncing off 90, I think that was what cracked the futures there a little bit. So, I'm gonna try to take another piece here in and around this 18, 19 area. And then honestly, man, if we make it, we may get stopped out again on this, but I think it's just looking at the 5-minute break here on the TQQs. It's funny because like we wrote down 56 and then that happened and it kind of changed my mind there. And I don't want to be like right and then wrong all of a sudden. So like, we were right to hold it, I think, back down in there to see if we bounced off 56, and unfortunately we didn't. We actually made a decent move into 73s there. So like, if I hold the position that I had there, that's a huge problem. And I don't know even where I wick out, but we do come all the way down there. So maybe my hold had to be a little bit longer. So we're gonna try to do that up here. Maybe watch out for these kind of wicks up here into 55 as our stop now. But I'm gonna play short on this market, and I'm not sure that's going to be right. The S&P 500 is down as well. Nasdaq down right there. We could just quickly check out to see, maybe what the DXY is doing, the dollar index here, just to see if there's anything going on. That's a 1-minute chart. That's a 45-minute chart. We want let's go to it doesn't really matter, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute at this point. Market is still pretty early. So yeah, dollar strength here going to the upside. That should actually hit the Nasdaq a little bit. So let's just wait to see if that has anything to do with anything here on the Nasdaq. So we'll see if we can double touch there. There's the move down, right, which gave us that move, and now the Nasdaq's getting helped out by a stronger dollar. So what I mean by this could help us is that maybe we come back in a little bit right there again as well. I think we both heard that TGL is now back open, but I think it got killed, didn't it?
It's been getting smoked.
Yeah, so back down to 31. Look, nothing wrong with trying this stock. There's no doubt about that one, but it's definitely not doing the best right now. TGL downside. And then the runner from SMX, the runner from Friday is, of course, SMX here on the Nasdaq, and that has been pretty quiet here. Looks like we had maybe a couple halts. This is what our halt scanner looks like here at Real Trading. So it's been TGL, some POAI stock. Predictive Oncology, looks like that halted as well. So these little halt scanners, I mean, if you guys have your system set up there, definitely see if there's a halt scanner or anything like that. It's an easy, very, very easy way to check out, for low flow runners, possible gappers as well. SUGP could have been another one there. This is something that I actually just figured out over the last little while. I mean, Neil had it up, and I didn't even realize this existed in our system, actually. SUGP up 26% there, so another one to look at here as the halt game continues on what has been a pretty active Monday, but not really market-wise. Yeah, I mean, you can't get a better one, DLG, honestly. I don't know a better
it's like the
longer-term
market
name.
is just not looking good right now on Google.
Yeah, and that
Market doesn't want to go up right now.
No, it's definitely had its bid, right, at Google. So DGL, I mean, the best thing that you put in the chat there was that this was going to be a possible long-term move, right? And I think that this is a fine price and a fine level if you are looking to do something there. So yeah, I would say a good look there. I like the stock of Google, and I think you found yourself a winner on that one. But you know, anything could pull back. If you like a stock and it pulls back, that's a buying opportunity. All right, so take that opportunity to buy some Google, and if you're not in it, get in it now. Nothing wrong with taking a little piece here and then a little piece down there. The thing is, remember, Wednesday we do have the Fed, and that could send the market a little tipsy-turvy, right? And so we'll have to wait to see if the Fed has anything to say about that. Wow, this come right up to 16.
We just came right back.
Yeah, I'm
down.
at 17s.
And as you can quickly see here, we're back under 90,000, so that's me getting out. I think we got a couple of bounces here, but it just could not follow through. So you're still in that downward trend. You're at 89.7 or so you're not getting too far past the 90,000 level that I wouldn't take a third shot, but it essentially, like Bitcoin went up, IBIT went up like 15 pennies, so we're really going like $300-400 off that 90,000 level and not much further. Like that's all you're getting. So we're just continuing to head lower and lower. I look back over at the one stock that I wanted short, and oddly enough, like it's bouncing of CoreWeave. CoreWeave is bouncing here after making a fresh low. I see it bounce. I see NVIDIA continuing to bounce. Like this is almost at the volume weighted average price. So I might take a third crack at IBIT if we get back above the 90,000, and maybe we're led by NVIDIA. So I want to be very, very careful about shorting CoreWeave if NVIDIA is breaking out. But CoreWeave, IBIT, and WBD is all I've traded. And when Warner Brothers is finally doing something here. So Warner Brothers, I'm just waiting for this to, there was some selling at 28 I was telling you guys about, and now it's trying to break what is a more distinct trend to the downside. VWAP's just a line on the chart, but this has really been holding this downtrend. Now it's trying to break it. So higher bid coming in from Paramount Skydance, $30 in cash. Since then, about $27.50 has been holding for Warner Brothers. The Netflix bid is like $223. What is it again? I want to get it right. $23.25 cash and then some shares, which at Friday's prices worked out to about $27.75. It'll work out to lower than that now because Netflix is down. But this is breaking trend and trying to get through VWAP. So I'm going to go long again when it does, and just continue to play this like scalp into the 28 level. But had to wait for the buyers to start to come back into Warner Brothers. It's going to do 100 million shares plus volume easy today.
Look at, I mean, for me, the trade of the day here is going to be RIVN, although it stopped out right there. But I mean, I can't just by picking the top there is just so crazy. But we did it, and unfortunately it does break that 70. I don't know. Maybe we'll just work on quarters next time, like 75s, 50s, 25s, and that way when we play that game, we don't have to be like, woe is me. But yeah, downside play. Good thing we got back into it. As you got to have that. Derek coined the term Seanfidence, and I think that you got to have some of that sometimes with some of your plays involving getting back in potentially, and if your levels do break. But you don't want to be stubborn. There's two different things right there. So we don't get back in with our full default, which to me would have been stubborn, like, oh, I'm wrong, whatever. I'm just gonna hammer it again until it keeps on working. That wasn't the case. It hits that. We gave it about 2 minutes, a little bit of a breath there. Did not go back up to the upside. We shorted it there, and then it just basically collapsed off of too much pressure. Eventually gave up, right? And so there's the downside play there. And we just missed a reload on the futures. But yeah, things don't look the greatest. We didn't get back up to the 50 period. We started turning around. I was waiting at the 50 period to get a little bit more involved there, but that just does not happen for me. So downside play is real on RIVN. That's going to be a good stock there. And then the other play that I could look at would be SOFI. But right now, being short the market, I don't necessarily want to dip buy into SOFI, but I had written down 27 long for SOFI, day 2 off of their offering. from Friday. So we'll see if RIVN can make it go right now, or SOFI, sorry, can make that go back down into 27 bucks. But my biggest position here is just these. So it's the TQQs, and right now we'll go over to Adara. It's 1040. SoftBank and NVIDIA looking to invest into Skilled AI, SKILD.AI at a 14 bill valuation. So SoftBank and NVIDIA looking to make a move into another AI play, which is good. I mean, I think NVIDIA, you know, they'll let them do the due diligence. They can put their money to work there for us and see if it works out. But let's go back over to Adara right now and get some stories and some sort of a segment.
I have some more context for this Skilled story as well. So again, as Sean mentioned there, Reuters reporting that NVIDIA and SoftBank are considering investing in this Skilled AI. That would be $14 billion valuation for the company, and Skilled could actually end up raising more than $1 billion through this round. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Let's talk about a very mixed sector board. There is a lot of weakness, so we'll start there. Communications here, right across the board. It's worth noting both T-Mobile and AT&T set to make an appearance at a tech conference, communications conference tomorrow. So keep an eye on those names heading into tomorrow's section. Health services quite weak, industrial services quite weak. Utilities mostly red here, with even Next Era Energy giving up some early strength on reports, or I guess announcement there of a partnership with Google. Health tech weak, consumer non-durables weak, led to the downside by Procter & Gamble. Consumer durables with some weakness as well. We know Tesla got that downgrade this morning. That seems to be bringing down the sector as a whole. Consumer services as well, pretty red. And let's talk here about health tech and tech services. Sectors are both going to be really weak, or I guess mixed, sorry, because a lot of these semiconductor names are kind of moving on their own. We'll talk electronic tech first. Apple red, but NVIDIA green, and Broadcom to the upside as well, with some positive analyst notes and that report back from Friday afternoon suggesting that Microsoft's going to go with this company as opposed to Marvell for this chips. Micron and ANET also stronger. If we go to tech services, there's a little bit more weakness here, though Microsoft and Oracle are both strong. Apple then also notably here up about 2%. And CRM continuing its recent strength as well. The weaker names here are going to be Netflix, of course, on watch with that Warner Brothers, Discovery, potential acquisition, and then Google also weaker here. Back to you.
Well, I mean, when you say potential acquisition, I feel like there's going to, like, a deal's going to happen. I almost feel like it's just a matter of like what the deal is going to look like. Yeah. Whether there'll be a bunch of conditions that get put on Netflix to get it through compliance, or they just let it through, or maybe Paramount Skydance actually wins out somehow. I don't like. There's going to be a response from Netflix, right? Like, if they're going to go 30 cash from Paramount, Netflix is going to likely respond. And whether they say, "Hey, this is our bid," or they decide to up it, or there's some other way they decide to sweeten it, they could change it from cash and stock to all cash. I was saying before that'd be one way to go. But I think someone just spoofed me out, and when I say that, as you can see, like, I was at first take profit, which was at 27.80, and at the moment, I just saw somebody that flashed. Oh, geez, maybe it's entirely possible that somebody just flashed an accidental like, big size and got taken out. I went out in front of them like, oh, I'll just take it all out and buy the dip again. And at that moment, okay, fine, it's looking better now because it's starting to come back in, but somebody sold a bunch that caused me to get all of it out on that bounce. I'll buy back underneath the volume weighted average price if we get that opportunity. Bitcoin's still heading lower, everything pretty much still heading lower, and CoreWeave is still the name after that offering that I want to see if I can get the short on, but it's not popping anymore. So there was one chance at VWAP, but as you can see, I got out of it, unfortunately. This one continues to head lower. It's looking pretty ugly, at least relatively speaking. Tesla down 3%. That's trending into some of the lows as well. Could easily be headed, I want to say 438, not 440, because that was support levels on, I believe it was Thursday, or no, Wednesday. You go back to Wednesday. So yeah, trend down, doesn't look very good. IBIT's the only thing that's at a bounce level that's giving me a reason to continue to look for the bounce, just because we're at that 90K. Nothing else is at a support that I like.
All right, guys. Yeah, no, it's tough to find something right now, I think. I'm just going to sit in this, but there it is, man. RIVN just, what's up, Brendo? Dada. Hope you're enjoying your day off. There's RIVN. So I can't, like, honestly, I think it's just maybe started a little bit too early again, right? Because we only have a few ideas there. Of course, we have TQQ long, and now I'm short. And then we have RIVN short at 17.50 there, and then the SOFI long down there at 27.25. Well, there's our Riv, so that's the sticky note. I'll, here, at Trader TV, Sean, go be my... Wait a minute, how many followers do we have? I was going to say go be the 55.6 right there. Let me see. Yeah, not there yet. We need someone to, one more follower. You get to be 55.6. Not that matters, but yeah, so there goes Rivian, just monster move there the downside. I'll post about that trade as well. So nice little cover there as we sort of, that's too bad. Like that would have been pretty much our whole day right there, but that's okay. All right, so the only position I have right now, and it's a doozy. It's just a matter of will it work. That is the futures right now. So I was going to bid a little bit here, which maybe we should. I thought I put a 91 there. I guess I did not. Let me. Oh, I did actually. What am I talking about? Let me just cancel that one. I just don't want to double bid it. So we do have a 91. It just got missed. It went down to 92 there. I didn't know what we had. No, actually went to 91 and we got missed. All right, damn it, man, that's happening a lot. So we just missed the top there of the trade, and I don't want to miss the bottom now. So we'll put a bid there. We'll sit on the BYX exchange or so, so we get a fill. We don't have to worry about it. If it comes into our level, potentially it will hit us. So let's see if we get a downside play there on the Qs. I don't know what's going on with Target, but that's a nice move higher right now as they made a huge move down early to 91, and then there goes Target right now. Nice bump there for TGT. I'm in this one just because I think there's more room to go, but I do think the much better play there. We're also is Walmart, but Walmart obviously the best of breed there for them. But look what Walmart's doing right now. Walmart from 115 down 1.68%. This is part of the reason why we're in TGT as opposed to Walmart. I just think any kind of good news for Target, and this thing really does get going there. So we bought Target on these dips, and we're now long in the mid 80s. So we actually bought it right into here. It did have this move up to 100. I'll have to double check. I don't think we got any out up there, but now that I see this again, obviously with the 200 period coming into play there now on TGT, we should put an offer around that 97.50. So if we do get that move higher there for Target, we'll see if it hits that target and be able to get out a little bit there. Yeah, we're going to try to stay on target as well. There's our 91. Give it to us. We missed it again, but not now. Let's see if we can have some of these hands and let it go down a little bit more. We don't want to scalp this just for 6 pennies like we did just there. But again, how many times are we going to see this as the bottom? It hasn't broke it basically in, I guess, 40 minutes or so. So we'll, sorry, 40 minutes is only a 1 minute chart, 25 minutes. So we'll wait to see if it gets a little lower now, breaking through these futures, continue to go Netflix. We haven't, actually, you know what? We haven't looked at Tesla, and then I'll throw it back and see what's going on here.
LOD.
Yeah, just lower. Rivian's the banger here, but I think Tesla, a little better structure. Didn't really break the highs. Didn't do too much work there for Tesla. You could have been holding this short, no problem. Rivian sort of had to take us for this run all the way up there and eventually found its new high. Breaks the high right there, which screwed me up, and then back in. So at least we caught this one. Now we just wait for those futures to get back down to the downside. I still like the robotic space, though.
Yeah, that's something that, obviously last week was a big one.
Despite Tesla, yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just Tesla. Obviously, you had iRobot was looking pretty good as well. So we just retagged every single time. We're at 90,000, just looking for that little trend break. Don't want to give it too much room. This is the level that we like. And I'm not adding unless I'll take long as we put in a bottoming tail candle and go green. And then I'm only adding to it if we then start breaking that trend back into the upside. So that's going to continue to be the play because IBIT's the only thing that's at a big level for me. I keep looking on up here because NVIDIA is really strong.
Dope.
Relatively speaking. So if see that program buying that just came into NVIDIA, if we lose this program buying, all what can break loose in the other direction.
Hell or.
It's the only thing out here that the market cares about, I think, that I've been able to see that looks relatively strong. So, if we were losing this bid, I think it would be in a bit of trouble. That brings me to, well, if I can't get, it wanted it to be CoreWeave today, but I might have missed that opportunity. Well, the proxy a lot of times is going to be like an AMD in the chip space or an Intel for the short side of the trade. AMD is the one at VWAP. So I think VWAP short on AMD, and then that way if NVIDIA breaks down, you're in something which is a little bit weaker. Yeah, so AMD kind of getting a relief rally early with NVIDIA, but looking weaker within its cohort as we speak, and starting to break down toward the lows. Like, we're not looking incredibly strong here today. So got to go to like the backup plan for short.
Yeah, our backup plan is always to go back up to the futures again. I'm going to keep on hitting that thing, that is for sure. All right, so we like that one. But right now, here it comes, man. Nice downside play there for the Qs. As we're trying to make a little bit back here. We told you this is my biggest position by far, obviously. As we only traded RIVN in the Qs today. So, yeah, good job so far today watching out for these markets as we continue to now try to get a little bit lower. And I think a lot of that's going to be happening with Bitcoin, again, breaking through 90,000. Some overall weakness. I don't think it's anything to really worry about, but we do have weakness right now in Netflix to the downside. If you're a Netflix shareholder like I am, I'm not overly worried about this. And in fact, like, I'd like to buy more. It's just I'm not sure where this is all going to settle down. We actually brought the chart out a little bit and said that, there was a potential area there around 90 to 92. So maybe that's where it settles. But I don't expect technical analysis to really hold during this discussion, because if they do have to up their cash
people aren't
portion,
going to like it.
That's gonna it's gonna hit their balance sheet, and that's not going to be a good sign. All right, man, here we go. Hopefully NVIDIA will not hold and it will break lower, and then we can celebrate.
It just broke for you up now.
Perfect, man. We got a nice little trade happening right here. So let's see what winds up happening. We got 55 cents in the money on RIVN. We've got now just small, man, just 15 cents here on the Qs. We did average it in at the 11:21 period moving average. Still looking for this to hold, but yeah, nice downside push for now on the futures. So good job there. If you've been holding on to this one, we'll pat ourselves a little bit on the back, and here it comes. Another fill there at the lows again. It's 80s. Our best fill, though, is in the 70s. We'll see if we can get that one more time. But we'll go over to Adara for Money Talks, and we'll be able to figure out today what is for lunch.
Here's the US dollar finding some solid support of the daily chart, still around that 98.7 level. It's the third straight day we found support at this level. Let's see if it continues. As Sean mentioned here, some relative strength on the DXY today. Now, I do want to mention as well here, some economic data happening later this week. We're going to get JOLTS tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Then, of course, we're going to get the Fed rate decision. We are still expecting that 25 basis point rate cut. On Thursday, we're going to be getting some jobless claims and the trade balance, and then heading forward on Friday. No data, but lots of Fed speak from Paulson, Hammock, and Goolsbee. Now, as mentioned here, that rate cut that we're very likely getting here on Wednesday, we still have roughly 87% of participants expecting that cut, 12.6% of participants expecting a hold. So, again, very likely the rate will be undergoing that 25 basis point cut. Before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Trade the Pool. For too long, trading meant risking your own money or just never having enough to start. The fear of losing. I kept so many traders on the sidelines, but now that is changing. Trade the Pool is transforming how traders access the markets. With its limited risk trading model, traders use funded capital, while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows traders to focus on what truly matters: discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit the profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. No fear, no barriers, just real opportunity. This is the revolution of limited risk trading, powered by Trade the Pool. Visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to get 10% off your first evaluation. Back to Sean and Neil.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much, as always, Adara. About 5 minutes to go until we throw you back over to, well, I was about to say Sharif and Joey options, but I only see Sharif sit down. Joe will be there in a quick or a hot minute. So a bit of a bounce here in, well, not the futures, but Bitcoin at least. So Bitcoin, we're back through 90,000. So when we got back through 90,000, it was another trend break. I said I'd only add if we did that. So I added as we did. Just want this to VWAP, but every single resistance point, that 51.2, 51.3, and then if you bust through that, I think you can get to the volume weighted average price here on Bitcoin. I doubt it's going to have all of the juice. The market breaks the low, might want to scalp some more out as well, but that. And of course, the new position for me was almost said IBM. Anyways, AMD. IBM's on the mind because of that deal today. Yeah. But AMD trending down. When NVIDIA lost VWAP here, I said I'm going to look for AMD. So I got to zoom that in so you can see better. There you go. So as NVIDIA lost the volume weighted average price, I went short into AMD here at 220. So $220. Oh, there's a position board. It's back. Lost it for a second, but it's back now. So we're looking for this one to get down to 219.5. That's like resistance to support, and then the low of the day here on advanced micro devices. Market heading lower. Bitcoin somehow actually bouncing here as the market heads lower, so I guess that's a good thing. I don't know if it can last forever. I just took another leg out because if we break the lows, to me, IBIT, whatever, it's not going to continue to not follow the market. Might take another leg out here, like right here.
All right, just tweeting this out about this. Okay, we are now. Oh, lots of things are happening over here, my guy. There it goes, man. Big time movement now in the futures as there it goes to the downside. So this is going to be hopefully the kicker that we need here to kick us out, you know, and just create this day for us. You know, we did obviously have that RIVN trade, and now we're back into those futures where we were long early, flipped it over to the short, and then right back in there into that low one more time. Let's put a bid out here at 69. We'll get that fill there as this has been the low. So far, there we go. Nice move lower here on the Nasdaq as it's just bleeding lower, lower, lower. I'm completely cool with this. In fact, I'm going to hold this all the way to hopefully by the time I get back from the gym, we'll be able to see how low this one can go. But we do want to empty a little bit out here because of where we're at right now. But this is going to be the big trade of the day for me. Well, so is that RIVN trade, but we did get stopped out of that and then had to get back into it. The futures, same kind of ways, man. We got stopped out and right back in, and there it goes. Let's see if we can make it all back right now. And where could the futures wind up settling? 55 change right here. So we're not too far away, maybe 50 more cents back into sort of where we were last week, where it was really bought up there. So 55 and change now for the TQQs. All right, man, you've been waiting all day for it. Let's just tell them Wagwan right now with the lunch, but just got back in. All right, I'm just tweeting out that RIVN trade there. Okay, let's all figure this out. All right, December 8th to the 12th. That would be this week. So we'll just click on that and we'll see. Today for breakfast, of course, was egg, bacon, and cheese sandwiches. So that was really good. You know,
that hit the spot.
That did hit the spot. Okay, today's flag is Mexican. So we do have the Mexican cuisine on board today. And you may like this if you are a fan of football and cold weather. Because right now we have Mexican beef chili on the docket for today with whatever Mexican rice is, and that's going to be in there probably, you know, I think whenever they have like these Mexican omelets, it's corn, it's stuff like that, so that should look good. With today's toppings for the beef chili, apparently diced tomatoes, a little sour cream, some green onions, some shredded cheese, some cilantro, and there it is, a side of corn salad.
This is the second time this has happened. I mean, literally had chili yesterday.
Yeah. That's good. This will be different, though.
No, it'll be very different.
Yeah, Marissa makes chili with pumpkin, which is awesome.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that does work. So, yeah, again, perfect meal, man. That's what I told Marissa to make. We were on the slopes all day yesterday, 6-7 hours. And I was like, make something warm. She made something called Marry Me Chicken, which is
I just
fantastic.
love chili. It's like a football.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And
when we have chili, it typically is going to be on a Sunday.
Ooh, Snowflake is all the way down there.
Where's Snowflake?
Let's go to Canada for good Mexican food. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah, so we are a caterer.
6, 7?
Right there. Oh, I think I said 6-7 hours. I think I said there.
Oh, yeah.
There's the funniest thing with Freddie Freeman and my guy Ryan Reynolds for the sick kids. It is one of the best things on YouTube right now, by far. So go over and have a look.
I love Freddie Freeman.
At that thing there, yeah, Canadian legend Freddie Freeman.
Like he's
of course the Atlanta Braves and now of the Dodgers. We won't have to.
No, it is what it is. Like I'm not a fan that they beat the Dodgers, but the guy's like a really.
Yeah, thanks for dropping that fly ball. That was a good one. That gave us a little bit of hope there. Game 1 or whatever that was.
He's also a really good player.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
It's about 11 o'clock. Obi's in the chat and he's contributing to this 6-7 thing. Come on, we don't need more people contributing to this 6-7 nonsense.
We need less.
We definitely need less.
I might just ban Obi from the chat. See what happens over there.
Oh, nah, you're not getting banned.
Of course not, man. Obi is my second favorite host.
It is 11.
Next to Neil.
We do appreciate it. We do have Sharif and Joe. You need to see.
I don't mind Sharif and Joe.
They're cool. It's Joey options.
We don't play favorites around here.
It's the professor. Maybe he's trading that wave stock. How would we not name the number one name on our board?
It's not wave. No, because I checked that before. I don't think it was up there before.
Not.
No.
I don't recall seeing. WVE.
I think it might have just got spiked up in there, but okay.
Well, maybe Sharif is looking.
By the way,
at
the
that
futures are tanking, so
market
that's
at
good.
the low of the day, and Wave making moves apparently.
so,
If that's the name of the company, go get them, boys.